All right, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Trainworld Ball. And please, everyone out there, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you all see us, hear us. Everyone's looking good. We did hair and makeup before, so I think we're all ready to go. And if you could just give me a heads up and let me know where you're from, where you're watching, what country you're from, what state, and model train enthusiasts all over the world. And just want to thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. And I see people starting to come in now on Facebook. And if someone could give me make sure that YouTube is going through. As usual, there's always in the beginning, the big rush to get everything going and up and working and making sure technology is up and running. But I think we're doing good, right, James?
Yeah, I think we're up and running, Ken, and I'm glad to be here, and it's good to see all of you guys here as well, since we can't be in person at a train show.
Likewise. And why don't we first of all, we got over 16 people here, so we're gonna have to go one by one and really just introduce ourselves. And I'll start with myself. I'm Ken Bianco Jr. from Trainworld, and thank you everybody for joining the Trainworld Ball.
I'm your co-host, James Wright. It's nice to be here, as I said, and welcome to the Trainworld Ball. Should be a blast. I'm not going to say ball because that would be redundant.
I'm Rich Janicek, Senior Vice President for Sales and Marketing for Bachman Trains. Ken, thanks for having us.
Ken Silvestri, Broadway Limited Imports.
Stacy Walters-Naffa, President of Walthers.
Al Miller, editor of Classic Toy Trains.
James Wigan, brand manager of Athearn Trains.
My name is George Bogatuk, product specialist at Soundtracks and Blackstone Models.
Doug Othey, R&D at Atlas Model Railroad Company.
Hey, Ken, Gale and Stacey Cousins from American LGB.
I'm Tony Cook, the editor of Model Railroad News magazine and co-editor of HO Collector Quarterly from White River Productions.
Andy Edelman, Vice President of Marketing, MTH Electric Trains. Good to see everybody.
Howard Hitchcock, CEO of Lionel. Nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
I'm Ron Angstead. I'm the president of Intermountain Railway, and it's a pleasure to be here.
I think we also have Pico on the line, but I'm not sure if Jonathan's there or not. So we'll just skip over. Did anyone not say their name yet?
Yeah. Hey, how's everybody doing? I'm Bobby Allard from Rapido. Trains Inc. I'm marketing officer. And on behalf of everybody at Rapido, Ken, thanks for having us. And we look forward to getting this started.
Awesome. So thank you guys so much for being here. And everybody watching this, I want you to give a big shout out to all the guests that are participating in this, because they're taking their time out on their Sunday afternoon that they could be spending with their families, and really just taking the time to, promote the train industry. And that's what it's all about. So thank you guys so much for being here. I want to give kind of like a background of what we're going to be doing today. This way, everybody watching can kind of know what the format is going to be laid out and how the Trainworld Ball is going to occur. So it's going to be a round table discussion where we ask a question, James and I, and then all the guests will kind of have an answer or talk about, and I'm sure Hal Miller or Tony can also chime in on some different products because I know their expertise is as well. But James everybody knows James as the YouTuber reviewer, and he'll be having some great insight on any new products that are discussed. But the questions that will be asked will be the first one, how COVID is impacting your business, hobby, and what are you doing different? Question number 2 will be a single new announcement or new arrival you want to talk, mention, highlight, unveil, just a big product announcement. Number 3, the future of your business or hobby, any updates, mergers, acquisitions, because there's been a couple of companies with that. Number 4, how is COVID affecting warranty, repair, shipping time, updates, and quality control? And the last question will be, do you miss traveling to train shows? What do you miss the most? And will this industry be the same? And a lot of these questions we kind of developed because right now during COVID, it's a hard situation for any business, small manufacturers, dealers, distributors, no matter where you are on the spectrum, whether you're first liner or, have to work remotely from home and watch your kids, everything has changed, including train shows. So we feel that this is kind of the best, I guess, way for the time being to kind of give some trains, news, excitement for the hobby, and to keep this hobby kind of rolling. And Andy Edelman from MTH actually was the inventor of this great idea to have all the manufacturers. So I'm glad that he's on joining us today. And so we appreciate that, Andy, for your excellent insight and fortitude in this hobby.
Well, I appreciate you listening to me. Not very many people do, so thank you very much for that, Ken. And this is going to be a fun thing today. So good luck with it all, and glad to be here again. That's great.
And again, a great lineup: Lionel, Soundtracks, Bachman, LGB Marklin, Pico, Bachman, MTH, Rapido, Athearn, Broadway Limited, White River Productions, Model Railroader, Atlas, Walthers, Intermountain. So we have an action-packed episode for everyone tonight. Thank you for joining us, and let's get the bowl started. So the first question, and I'm not sure if you guys could see around the same setup as I do, but I believe Ken is the first one on the top left-hand corner, if that's the same way. So maybe we'll go around clockwise. Ken, how is COVID impacting, I guess, Broadway Limited, and what are you guys doing different, if anything at all? And you got to unmute yourself, Ken.
From a business perspective, nothing's really changed. Bob has implemented procedures that keep all of our employees safe and keep the business open. From the hobby side of it, hobbyists that I've talked to are thankful that they have a hobby that they can that can occupy their time. So there's some good in this also.
You want me to go next there, Ken?
Sure.
All right. I think from the hobby standpoint, I echo what Ken says, is that people are having a new appreciation for it. So there's a huge silver lining in COVID-19 for our hobby, in that people are looking for ways to escape from what's going on and to feel safe and in control of their own environment. So if the big world outside is a little bit wild and out of control, it feels pretty good to build your own world where you're in control. So that's pretty exciting, I think. And it gives me and our team at Walthers great comfort knowing that we're participating and helping people feel a little bit more relaxed and comfortable during this time. So I think that's something we're really observing on the hobby side, and it's really positive, and the team is energized by that. At the same time, the business, we've had to change a lot of things, and not the least of which is just, going to a lot of our team is working remotely. We're trying to keep the fewest number of people on site at Walthers as we can. And we weren't a virtual, a work from home environment. So that took a lot of work. I mean, I'm sure all of you have been figuring it out, but just, all of a sudden getting everybody working from home is not something that just you snap a finger and it happens. So I'm really, really proud of the team for figuring that out. And, we're offering as much flexibility as we can for people who have kids at home and who are figuring out how to make this work. And then at the same time, for our team that are on site, we're splitting shifts. We've adjusted hours just to try to make sure we have the maximum amount of safe protocols at Walthers. So that's how we've been handling it, and we're constantly adapting it, given that this situation is constantly adapting. But in terms of product flow, we've been very pleased that actually our supply chain has been still bringing things in. We're really glad that you guys are all bringing things in, so we're happy to see that flow coming at us. But we've definitely, you're going to ask later, but we have seen some shipping delays domestically, which is, of concern to the customer. I echo everybody else's thanks for doing this. I think it's really important that we all come together, and it is interesting that the last time I saw many of you, Andy, we're shutting down a show in March. Who knew that we weren't going to see each other for a long time? It's really weird to think about how much has changed in such a short period of time. So it's nice to see your faces.
Very well said.
I'll go next. Many of you would be in Milwaukee this weekend if it wasn't for COVID. So it's unfortunate. I miss a lot of you, but I'm glad to be here, and thank you for doing this, Ken. Kalmbach, the media, I think COVID has really forced us to become a media company. Kalmbach for years has been known for its print products. Well, in the middle of this pandemic, we're going to be launching trains.com, which is a website for everything railroad and model railroad, and that'll be coming out toward the end of the year. But in terms of editorial content and things, it's really forced us to, obviously we're all working from home, and a lot of the video that needs to be shot for trains.com and for other things is being done here. So we're kind of a hybrid approach to things. But from a product standpoint, we couldn't be more pleased. Our KalmbachHobbyStore.com is going very well. People are buying product right now. They're at home, they're doing their hobbies, and that's what we like to see. I hope that continues. Don't want COVID to continue. I'm afraid we're all going to be stuck inside or at home for a little bit longer. But thankfully we have our hobbies, and our people continue to amaze me in terms of what they enjoy in print, digital, everything. The consumption still very high. So that's really fantastic.
Ken, I'll go next.
Yeah.
All right. So just a little bit of insight of Rapido. We started out slow. It was different, obviously, for everybody else too. It was a different challenge to take on. And with some of us working in the States and some of them working in Canada, it actually worked out well with us going to video conferencing for meetings. And so far, we've hired a few people. We also have over 12 items that are brand new tooling, either announced, or we have a new freight car, an HO, and a new project and then that we're waiting samples on that are being tooled right now. So we'll get to see what they look like when they get here. And one of the things that we really have enjoyed so far is just some of the success via, like right now, video live streams. If you notice, our videos on YouTube are increasing. So we went from about 5 or 6 a year to maybe 2 to 3 a month now. So we've really cranked that up a bit. And like I said, with the new tooling, we just announced a new car a week ago, 2 new cars a week ago. And like I said, we got some more stuff coming along the way.
Well, I guess I'll jump in next. Here in Soundtracks in Durango, Colorado, we manufacture all of our electronics here in Durango. So we've been able to make changes to how we approach things internally. Most of us are working at home, as you know. I'm working at home primarily, most of the people that can, but of course our manufacturing floor cannot. So we've been enacting different shift schedules, things like that, to try to minimize the amount of people in-house, but also be able to retain the requirements as by the state. Early on, this was, as we all know, it was a new thing. Nobody really knew much about it, and we were very fortunate to be able to help out in the PPE efforts in local community by helping make some solder joints and connect some of the electronics for some of the local effort, which ended up being, I think it was about 20 companies or something that all pitched in. So it was a really good community effort. But as far as what we've been seeing, I agree with a lot of what you guys have said. People are staying home, they're working on their hobbies. Thank goodness we have a hobby that we can stay home at and you know, continue to improve on. So we've been seeing actually pretty good numbers for sales going on. So a lot of people are, you know, stopping putting off that upgrade project or that repower projects, and they're working on stuff. So, I mean, it's been good, but I agree with also what somebody else said. This can't be over fast enough. I miss seeing all you guys out there at the shows. So Ken, thanks for putting this together, and we're happy to be part of it.
Yeah, Ken, if I could actually tag on to what George was saying, one of the things that we're seeing at Atlas is a lot of our customers are calling in more frequently and more often. In fact, I think we've had about 50% increase in the number of in the call volume that we've had for people who are getting into their hobby again, working on the hobby, you know, starting to work a lot on their projects that have been sitting for a while in many cases. And I think this also, you can see a lot for the states that don't have hobby shops which are locked down, or if people can get out. I think a lot of this boils down not only to what we're doing in the industry, but also how the local hobby shop is able to serve as a resource for the product and the things that we're able to do now. Of course, Atlas has always been, you know, reaching out in a variety of ways. We're also working very closely, you know, to try and ensure that we're following all of the PPE requirements, the social distancing requirements, and everything else, both on the local, state, and national levels. And so one of the nice things is that, you know, we're still able to satisfy our customer base through the one-to-one interaction that they have with our customer service as well. And that's been a very, you know, very interesting point that we've seen as an uptick. And I think we're very happy to be able to help out the customer base in this way, along with every other way that we normally do. Thanks, Ken.
Hi, everybody. This is Ron from Intermountain. So here in Colorado, we've had kind of, I guess every state has its own, you know, level of different restrictions and requirements and effect from the COVID virus. In April, we were pretty restricted, and obviously, you know, at that point, we figured out a way to get most of our staff working out of the office and from home. We've incrementally brought a number of people back into the office. We have independent offices and have a safe way of being able to work together for the most part. Recently, just last week, we've had an uptick in Colorado, and we've had some new restrictions. So we're back to, you know, only a few people working separately in the office in the shipping and receiving. So we're kind of going through another rough patch here in Colorado right now, especially in Boulder County. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, when the vaccine is released, how the numbers go. The local schools are going back to remote learning as well, it sounds like. So it's going to be an interesting time. I am happy to say that we have 100% of our staff that we had at the beginning of the year still employed at Intermountain, and we've kept everybody 100% paid throughout the whole time, whether they were working from home or just staying at home. And so that's something that we're proud of, and it speaks to the you know, loyal commitment from our employees to us and vice versa. So we're happy about that. Also good news with our supply chain. Really had struggles early in the year, but it looks like most of that is behind us now. we've gotten a really good flow of product throughout the year, and some shipments that are on the way, and more product that's going to be coming here in the next few weeks. So we expect quite a bit of new product before the Chinese New Year. So we're excited about that. Haven't been able to travel there, obviously, for good reason since the third quarter last year. But we've got some good communication going back and forth, and great quality product, and a pretty good flow. So with that, I do want to talk about the train show effect a little bit later, but we'll get to that category as we go. So really appreciate the opportunity to share some of these insights with you, the other manufacturers, and also the model hobby industry altogether. So great to be here.
And adding to a lot of what everybody else has said, it's very inconsistent right now. We go from a day when there's nothing going on to a day when we can't keep up. Product is still coming in. We've actually were able to continue working in our warehouse without having to work from home. We have enough of a space to social distance inside the warehouse as well as inside the offices, so we're okay. We've hired people. Nobody was ever down, and we've increased in size. So we would like to say we have benefited well from the COVID, but it's not a happy situation ever. We're still, dates have changed for new items coming out due to supplier issues and whatnot. But we continue to release new stuff all the time, and we're looking forward to the future as well as we all work together to get there.
Despite, I'm echoing what other people have said, despite having to shut down for, I guess it was just about 3 months early in the year, things have rebounded. Our warehouse is consistently busy right now. They're doing overtime right now. I like to echo one of the things that Scott had said earlier, is that we're seeing a lot more ordering standpoint, either whether from a distributor or a dealer, which I see as the product is not necessarily being hoarded like toilet paper, but it's actually being sold, and people are reordering the product. So that's a good indication, not only for manufacturers, but also for the hobby in general, that people are getting back into the hobby. They're enjoying it. From a standpoint of, we're doing similar things. We're affecting as many people as we can. People are working from home. We made a couple changes in terms of our walk-up service area has been closed. So, from a standpoint, of trying to protect our workers, we're doing everything we can, just like the rest of you guys, just to make sure everybody's safe.
Yeah, Ken, at Lionel, it's been a similar story to what most folks have said here. First, we've seen a nice continuation of interest in the product, strong orders. Certainly those that have robust .com setups have certainly benefited from the remote sort of aspect of living, where people are sort of buying stuff through the internet. Early on, our governor was pretty aggressive in North Carolina and shut everything down pretty quickly. We in a matter of a couple of days moved over 100 people to remote working. Work from home. Our IT group did a great job. We did keep a handful of warehouse folks there the entire time just to process and receive. Of course, the factories in China actually experienced outages, delays, labor shortages coming out of Chinese New Year, which is always a tough time of year anyway. Our team over in China, we have a ground-based team there that kind of all had to be remote. And obviously, when they're sort of checking on factories and doing that type of stuff, they're not able to function. I am happy to say that everything is on track. Everything we've promised to get in this year is coming in this year. We've got cans East and West Coast. Now, of course, we're dealing with things like port congestion and other issues on domestic transit. But same sort of things. We've brought some folks back into the office, obviously working to maintain the safest environment we can with all the protections and procedures, and even large meetings internally, keeping up with video conferencing and stuff. So new ways of learning to work, new ways of marketing. Looking forward to the time when we can get everybody back in the office and get back out and see folks at shows for sure. But have been overall pleased with how the overall market has reacted.
I'm going to go ahead and echo a lot of everybody else's sentiments. First of all, I came on board right after Chris Palmera's left the position, and it was really weird because it's the first time I ever had to do HR stuff through a computer and not see a lot of the people that I work with. And so that's been different. And of course, we've all adjusted as far as in the office, both in California and in Central Illinois. So we do a lot of meetings through our computers and stuff. Doesn't always work as well as it did for Captain Kirk and Spock and those guys, but we adjust. As far as delays and stuff, we did see some delays beginning in the very beginning, but that again was a learning curve for everybody involved, and business has picked up. I think, as a lot of us have mentioned earlier, folks are at home and they are basically modeling the reality that they want to model. And so we're seeing a definite uptick in sales and orders and things of that nature. That's a good thing. Like a lot of folks, even before working for Athearn, I was very active with going to shows and such. And personally, I do miss it. I miss seeing our fans out there and talking with our customers and getting ideas and getting feedback from them. So it's a little bit different than getting feedback from an email or something of that nature. But Ken, thank you very much for bringing us on board, and thanks for this idea. It's a great idea that you've got here.
Thanks, Jim. And
so I think I'm the last one, if I'm correct on that.
Second to last. Also Jonathan next.
Okay. So anyway, at MTH, it's been kind of interesting with this COVID thing, because we're going through a transition, as many of you may know, that COVID has helped compound as far as difficulties go. And we'll touch on that a little bit later, I think. But production wise, certainly there's been some delays, and we're still dealing with that. Fortunately for us, product sales are up, and inventory levels are as low as they've ever been in the 40-year history of MTH. So from our perspective, it hasn't been too intrusive. We were shut down for a couple of weeks in March. I think, as Howard mentioned, North Carolina was very aggressive in their government response. Maryland certainly was as well. In fact, the whole DMV, as they like to call it around here, was pretty intense, and the people behaved for the most part in this area. And we were able to get people back into the office. There are still some segments of our business that are working remotely, but for the most part, our sales and our marketing and our production guys are in the building. Our customer service guys are in the building, and production is catching up as best as it can, but we expect that to all be caught up by Chinese New Year next February. So for us, it's been interesting because of the other things that are going on with MTH. It hasn't been devastating, and nobody's been sick. So fortunately for that, we're thankful, and looking forward to the next steps as we go through this whole process. It's been unbelievable. Stacy mentioned it earlier. Haven't seen all of you guys since last spring, March, or whatever, and it's just crazy how different life is.
All right, and I'm gonna unmute Pico, and actually, sorry, John, you're gonna have to unmute yourself. It says ask to unmute. Dan and John. Still can't hear you.
While we're waiting on them, I was just going to mention, from my perspective, I'm really more of a hobbyist than a company or anything, but it's become that much more important to get all the product announcements and everything else out to people, since they can't do train shows and can't see what's going on. So having really clear video, stable looks and everything is pretty important. And I appreciate all you guys playing along with us as we attempt to cross this new boundary and get product information out in a different manner.
Very well. And here at Trainland Train World, the retail store, we actually opened up in maybe like a month ago, and it's definitely challenging. You know, we put up plexiglass around the store. We had to make more space inside the store. You know, we have a temperature scanner for the people, hand sanitizing stations. We unfortunately, we have to limit the amount of people in the store. So there's a lot of different changes when you're in retail, and like all these manufacturers, whether you're a manufacturer, distributor, magazine company, COVID has affected you. So it's definitely been challenging for everyone, but thank God our hobby is, I guess, an indoor hobby, and you know, people are still playing with trains. So that's the positive side. And,
hey, Ken.
All right, John, you're on.
Hey, well, you know, it's a beautiful morning in San Diego. We were out on the beach and kind of lost track of time, you know. But
that's all right. Gail and Stacy are going to have a lot to say tomorrow.
So, you know, like everybody else, we're dealing with what's going on. Neither Pico America was never closed through the whole time. Neither our factory in Germany or our factory in China. We've all remained open and doing things as normal. Yeah, a few things are different. Dan's been working some from home, but he's right here with me at the moment. So we've, like everybody else, the model train business has exploded this year for anybody that's able to be delivering products. The demand is just off the charts. So amidst all the terrible stuff, it's been a great year for the model train business, and I think there are lots of folks that are rekindling their old hobby that they'd kind of lost interest in, and there are a lot of folks that are getting started for the first time with what we think is the world's greatest hobby. So it's been good.
That's great, and I think everyone covered the first segment. And before Tony, all right, Tony, go. My bad.
Well, you know, I get this question a lot of, wow, how, you know, things have changed so much. In the spring of 2012, I started doing model railroad news from home for White River Productions. So I've been socially distancing now for about 8 years. So I'm a pro at this, that getting everything from Amazon and going out once a week to the post office and grocery store, that's how I live my life, basically. So yeah, for White River, all of the editors are in different locations. And so this has kind of been how we always did things. Now, our warehouse in Missouri had a couple of down weeks last spring, but has been back up since. And I know that other than delays with some of the services, you know, postal services and things like that, it's been back to pretty much status quo. I will echo what I've heard from so many others, that, man, this has been a year for model trains. And I saw it almost immediately, like March, April, between emails, Facebook, all these questions, and you could tell they were all from, you know, new people. What does 22-inch radius mean versus 18? How do I change the couplers on this? Do you have instructions for putting this kit together? I bought it 10 years ago, and I've now decided to build it. And so I'm off looking on a shelf, like, I think I have one of those Walthers kits. Let me see. Yeah, here. And I scan it and send the guy the instructions. So it has been a year for model railroading, and I've been really, I guess, surprised in a way at that. I didn't think about it. It's kind of one of those, you know, for everything, there's an impact that maybe you don't always see. And the way model railroading has taken off, I mean, our numbers have been up at Model Railroad News. And as James said, getting that information out there, you know, whether it's on Facebook, our website, has become even more and more important. But boy, it's been the year that I think everybody that had any thought of one day I'm going to build a model railroad, 2020 is the year.
That's true. And before I cut anyone else off, did we miss anyone? We got everyone? Sorry about that, Tony. John got me flustered from Pico, so blame it on Pico. All right, and so thank you. Great first answer. And before all the pitchforks come out, because everybody just wants to hear about new product, what's everyone making? I mean, everybody just is done with COVID, doesn't want to hear about it. They want to hear new product. So I'm going to kick it over James to start the next segment. And hopefully everyone out there is going to be super excited for some great news.
Okay, so as Ken has mentioned and several people have mentioned, obviously we can't be in Milwaukee. And one of the biggest things about Milwaukee or any train show is what's new out there in the hobby. You know, what is coming out. So if I could have each of you talk about one single new announcement or new arrival you want to really, you know, kind of boast about or talk about some of the great features of, go right ahead, and we can start again with Ken Silvestri.
Okay, the first one I'd like to speak at, and if I can figure out how to make this look the other way. Here we go. Is the Paragon 3 Rolling Thunder HO cab forward. You guys can see the locomotive? Okay.
Yes.
Cool. And I picked this gray paint scheme because it's just so handsome. Now this model has a synchronized puffing smoke, and the extent that our smoke works is that the more the locomotive labors, the more smoke comes out. The sound works kind of the same way, but it has a die-cast chassis, and die-cast equals weight equals traction. And it's in stores this week. So it's available, and Kenny, you should have them this week.
Hey, Ken, this is James again. Are you planning on releasing fantasy schemes like the Southern Pacific Daylight scheme that you've done before that seemed to be a pretty big hit?
Yes. And, it's funny because some guys they find it, they don't have a great response towards that. And what they have to remember is that these fantasy schemes help us make numbers and make more product. And they look great. We always try to find a great looking, handsome locomotive to make. So the fantasy schemes will continue.
They're a good seller, so somebody must be happy.
Yeah. They work out for everyone.
Yeah, I'll chime in on that a little bit. And you're definitely going to get some people who aren't crazy about fantasy paint schemes, but there's another side of the market that wants something different. So all these manufacturers in Broadway and everybody who we have on kind of have to now kind of market and cater all their decisions to everyone, not just one specific group, and try to really broaden. So what you guys have done and other manufacturers on this panel have done a great job mixing it up with a true, real model train, and then you got some fantasy mixed in.
It's all fun. It's all meant to be fun.
All right, I guess we'll move on to Scott at Atlas. You want to talk about any new announcements or new arrivals?
Sure, James, thanks. Focusing on the one, if you check on our website, our All Scales monthly catalog has introduced the S4. Whoops, there we go. It can be a little hard to see, unfortunately, I apologize. But what we have done is to create a proper S4 with both riveted cabs and also the welded cabs. We've done a little bit of readjustment on some of the tooling as well to make it a little bit more configurable, so that additional types of variations can be dealt with very easily. It has the proper AAR trucks that are brand new tooling. Of course, they have the sound and everything else that we've been installing in the S2s and S4s. And it's also available as completely new tooling in N scale as well. And so we have both HO and N scale S4s, early and late models with riveted, oops, let me get that around. There we go. With both riveted cab and welded cab variations with the proper windows and everything else. So this is currently being announced. We have 7 different schemes, 2 numbers in each scheme. And check on our website for shop.atlasrr.com, where you can order directly or through all of the distributors, etc. And so that's the one new feature that we can show right now.
So Atlas has Silver Series and Gold Series, correct? The Silver
correct.
Series being DCC ready, but DC, and then the Gold being DCC and sound. Will you be having the series, Silver Series in this as well?
Yes, we will. And in fact, the Silver Series has a speaker already included, so it is very easy to move forward in the sound adjustment with that. So we've already included the speakers as well in the Silver Series.
Good deal. Well, thanks again, Scott.
Thanks.
Hal Miller from Classic Toy Trains, did you have any inputs, maybe something coming out from Kalmbach?
I do. As I mentioned, trains.com will be out before the end of the year. That's going to be launching. But for Classic Toy Trains specifically, you know, we're all about the holidays. And this year, our special publication is called Families and Electric Trains. And it's 100 pages of stories about not only the holidays, but how traditions affect a lot of families with their American Flyer, Lionel, MTH, all the toy trains. They're all here. They're great stories. They're fun to read. It's one of those things that's good not only for giving to somebody, but also to give to yourself. So when you care enough to send the very best, give it to yourself. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We've got a number of other special publications. They're all available at kalmbachhobbystore.com.
Yeah, the 40s and 50s, it's just the heyday of O-gauge trains seemed like in everybody's house. I'd like to see the hobby get back to that too, where it's really mainstream. So really
it's neat. You know, the trains that Lionel and MTH they're putting out today. I mean, the 50s, the post-war stuff is great, but the modern stuff is just fantastic. And as I've said for years, there's never been a better time to be a hobbyist.
Yeah, I have a Lionel O-scale big boy that's I just reviewed, and it's just amazing to see, you know, how spoiled you are with stuff coming out just ready to go. You just put it on the track and go to town. So
exactly.
Very neat. All right, Marklin LGB, would you like to talk about a single new announcement or new arrival?
Our single announcement is Christmas, because LGB is Christmas. So I'll be really fast though. What we have is we've reissued Chloe in a new paint scheme. So she's painted blue and gold in a pretty Christmas design. It's just a little field engine. It comes with the Santa. And then there's a first class car that goes with Chloe as well. Then we also have our annual LGB Christmas passenger car that's always sought after. And to finish your train, we have a Christmas caboose. Very simple.
Oh, very neat stuff. Love that scale of items. I wish I had the space for it. Maybe when I find a house.
Christmas tree.
COVID has slowed that down too. Yeah, we'd be surprised if we'd be able to have space to put up a Christmas tree right now. We're like crammed into a rental house while we're house hunting, so it's fun. But I look forward to getting more expanded to that scale in the future.
There's always room for a train.
Yep. All right, Howard Hitchcock from Lionel. Did you have any new announcement that you wanted to talk about or new arrival?
Yeah, I did. Hopefully, some of you were able the other night to see our virtual Lionel Train show, something we're kind of capitalizing on, and we featured a lot of new IP and lights and different things. But one of the things since I've taken the helm at Lionel, the focus has been on continuous innovation, and we sort of touched on a little bit in terms of advancing modern engines. And Bluetooth was something that we put on all of our locomotives, started really with our starter sets and has moved up. I'm going to attempt to share my screen here really quickly. So Lionel New Innovation, we are bringing out in C1 voice control. So much like your Amazon devices or your phone where you can just speak your commands to it, any of our locomotives that have the Bluetooth technology on board, with the upgrade to Bluetooth 5, we are taking our app and you will now be able to control your train vocally. So essentially you will, this is, I'm hoping that you're seeing sort of the app screenshot there. We will be adding a little icon to that. That icon, when you press it, will voice enable your smart device so that you are able to speak commands to the train and operate the train. And this will work backward compatible. So any locomotive starter set, our mid-range type products, the Lion Chief Plus or the Legacy, this will work with anything that has Bluetooth on board. So it will go back several years in terms of items that are out there with the sets. And you can see here just different types of commands having to do with throttle, direction, volume, dialogue, couplers where enabled, bell, whistle, horn, smoke, simple sequences, time controls. And what we've done is actually, with our staff, gone through and created a list of commands. So there are Easter eggs, some of them tied to our IP that might be IP specific. So rather than sort of very train technical sort of commands to operate the train, you might have things that are you know, we have Star Trek, so energize or something to that effect might be buried in there. But that's that really is our focus. We've always put a lot of energy into innovation and believe that this is just one more way to advance the hobby market, engage kids and youth, and continue to move the ball downfield.
Yeah, that's a big piece of it is engaging youth. You know, a lot of us in the hobby that started young and then either came back to it or just stayed in the hobby our whole lives. And it's good to bring the youth in. It kind of ensures the future of our hobby. So
yeah, that's been our perspective on it. You know, we're not going to get smart devices out of their hands. So the more we can put in the operation of the train into the smart device, gives us a better shot of capturing the audience during this time of year holiday.
Yep, great to hear. And thanks for the update from Lionel.
Absolutely.
Ron from Intermountain, good seeing you. How you been? And what announcement or
all right
release do you guys have coming out?
Well, we got a couple of, well, we'll focus on one exciting new thing here. So you're aware of the bi-level auto racks we did in HO scale. Well, I got some great news because we have a co-op production run that we are working with Fox Valley Models, and we've got the N-scale version of that. I don't know if you can see the detail on this, but this has the etched metal stainless steel side panels. I was getting my, yeah, maybe we can show you the see-through effect on those etched stainless steel, really finely detailed side panels. And of course, we have the HO version of that. Got another production run on the way in for these. We're taking reservations in N-scale for these right now. So everybody get your reservations into your favorite hobby dealer, and so you can be included in the production run, because we expect that these are going to sell out just like the HO last couple production runs have as well. So we're real excited about the future. Orders and reservations are strong, so get your reservations in early.
Yeah, that's been a huge seller. I know there's a lot of attention on those auto racks. The first time I reviewed them, I put like a slightly out of scale car in there, but people were just ranting and raving that they could see the silhouette of the car. And then I think one of the companies, one of the smaller companies came out with a little silhouette you can put in there to make it look like an outline of a car. So really neat, and it's good to bring that to the next level.
And you did some really nice reviews on that product as well. So I would encourage people, if you want to learn more about it, check out James's previous review on it. Thank you.
Thanks. Jim Wigan from Athern. How's it going, and what's new over there in Illinois / California?
Well, yeah, yeah, Illinois and California. Well, we announced beginning of October 30th, our biggest all-new release. In fact, instead of just me yammering, I'm going to move my melon here and see if I can bring her in. All right. And no offense to George, I'm just going to shut the tsunami down real quick so I can talk real quick. So this is the HO scale Genesis 2.0 SD70 ACU. And we actually, our designer, Matt Gentry, actually had this ready to go last year because we had the Norfolk Southern versions finished, but then our friends up north had told us that they were going to be doing some SD70 ACUs as well. So Canadian Pacific did some. So we worked really closely with CP Rail, and we're going to be doing some great models for both Norfolk Southern and CP. We're doing the standard new scheme. We're also doing the heritage scheme with the script and the block writing. And as you know, there is about 10 military versions that they're doing, and we've chosen for this run, we're going to do the Army version, the modern Army version, and we're doing the naval version. So it's really exciting. These are really, really cool. We've had a lot of requests for these over the past few years, and it's really neat to see how Norfolk Southern came up with this idea a few years ago. If you guys remember the old SD90s, they bought about 100 of those from UP, and they rebuilt them. They put SD70 style cabs on them, basically brought the power plant up to a Tier 4 standard. They put new electronics in them. Basically, they gave these locomotives new life. And Canadian Pacific saw what they were doing and thought, hey, that's a great idea. We've got some of those. They're in storage. Let's go ahead and do our own version of them. So we went ahead and did those after they were so successful on the prototype. And like I said, we worked real closely with CP Rail. As you know, James, in the past, you've done a lot of reviews for us. You know that Genesis is always striving to, if we sell you a Conrail locomotive, it's going to have Conrail details versus a Santa Fe locomotive. And these are no different. The CP Rail are distinctly different from the Norfolk Southern, but we took it a little bit further. The details that are on, say, the Arid Army version are going to be slightly different than they are on the naval version. So in one case, the door latch is in a different location on one locomotive as it is the other. So we went even further on this one, and specifically with the CP Rail versions, the details are specific to the locomotive itself. So very excited with these. They're coming with the, without sound standard units. And they're also going to come with a full house with the Tsunami decoders in them. And they've got dual sugar cube speakers, so they sound great on the layout. A lot of great things, like you can turn the headlights on, the ditch lights, Norfolk Southern, when you hit the horn, they oscillate per the prototype. And of course, you can turn on and off the number boards, one of the 2.0 Genesis options. So very exciting for modern mainline modelers.
I'm not going to take offense that you didn't do the Air Force version first because I'm retired now, but it's very good to see you guys coming out with new product. I think new product, it brings a lot of new attention, and I've heard a lot of stories where it brings new people into the hobby just because they see something going by their school or their house So good to see that, and thanks for the update, Jim.
Thank you.
Bobby Allard from Rapido. Nice to see you, man. What's new? What's a single new announcement or arrival over there in Canada?
Well, that would be our bi-level commuter car that we just announced about a week ago. Let me just share a screen for you. So it'll be 6 bodies total on this run. It'll be series 1, 3, and 4 coaches, and then 1, 2, and 4 cab cars. So you get an idea here, like a unique feature to 1 and 2, but we're going to focus on 2, would be the single window cabs for Metrolink. And this whole project was something that we had in the chamber probably for a while, but when we got the sales figures back for the F59 PHs, we weren't really satisfied with what we saw. So we figured, we sat around, we figured a little bit, and what could we do to push it? And out popped the bi-level commuter car. So we went obviously all out, well beyond what I think even we thought we were going to do, but we went ahead and did one. It's never been done before with the single window cab for Go. And then we hit Metrolink. We had a little bit of a kind of a good lively conversation back and forth on how do we handle that, because Metrolink has Series 2, which is drastically different than 1, 3, or 4, and we wanted to do 1 and 4. So what do you know? We wound up doing 2 and 3. So we went all out, and the series can also lead us to more things down the road, being 3 cab cars, and then possibly Series X, which is the new cab cars. But again, we're getting ahead of ourselves here. And then these are the paint schemes. So Series 1 for Go, Miami Tri-Rail, which were actually built to Go spec in case that they failed and they had to send them or sell them to Go. Series 2 and 3 coaches for Metrolink. Series 4 cabs for AMT in Montreal, Dallas for TRE, and West Coast Express. And like I said, so this was something that we really weren't looking to do right away. But then when the F59 orders came in, I'm sure some people saw the video we posted about a week ago. It basically hit us, why don't we just do the car? It matches the locomotive, and someday you'll be able to have a whole set with the locomotive. So an added bonus. And for me, I know I'm going to be getting a few, unfortunately, because that means I'm going to have to be paying out more than I want to be paying. But I'm happy with that. And we have a few more things, like I said, in the chamber that we're going to be looking at for the rest of the year. So we're not done yet.
All right, well, thanks for the update. I know I rode in one of those Go Rail cars with Jason Schron when I went up there and visited. So that might be on my order list as well, because those are pretty neat, unique cars.
And not to cut you off, James, but Bobby, I think if Jason was on here, he'd probably take the one product announcement and extrapolate that into all 30 at once.
Well, that's the hard part with us having so much new stuff this past year and a half alone, and then so much stuff announced before that that's getting ready to come out. But it just works out that we announced these on the flat car a week ago, and then we have some more stuff coming up. Like I said, new freight car coming up in HO, new project in N scale, and maybe even stuff for UK.
Cool stuff.
All right, Andy Edelman from MTH. You guys have anything on the arrival mode? I know you've announced pretty much everything, but anything coming in or?
Oh yeah, we certainly do. And James, I owe you a few things. Actually, I know you dropped me an email last week saying I didn't get this, so you got some stuff coming. No worries about that. But we released our 2020 HO catalog early this summer, and some of that product is starting to arrive now. And what did just come in was the Union Pacific 412-2 9000 steam locomotive. And that particular locomotive is pretty darn slick. It's a die-cast engine, and it's set up so that it can articulate. And by that, I mean, obviously it's a 412-2, so the drivetrain itself is fixed in real life, like a regular standard steam locomotive, as opposed to an articulated steam locomotive, like a big boy that you saw running in the background and whatnot. So this engine, because it requires a wider curve when the drivetrain is fixed, we decided to cheat a little bit and we articulated it. There's a screw that you remove, and it will go and I'll make this a little bigger for you. It'll go and handle 18-inch curves. So that's pretty slick. The other thing about this locomotive is it's a 3-cylinder engine, and you can see the third cylinder there right in front of the steam chest moving. I think I have another view on the other side where the movement is even more impressive. Just to the left of the front there, you see both pins going in and out. So that's a pretty slick locomotive. There's a good view of those two pins. Obviously, it's equipped with Protosound 3.0, and that includes 28 DCC functions. And obviously, it'll work with our DCS digital command system if you choose, or any DCC controller. So George can sell DCC controllers if he wants, and it'll run this locomotive. So die-cast metal, digital sound. I think there's 4 different cab numbers. The 9000 is the one that just came in, and the others are coming in, I think, next month, or perhaps even later this month. It's already November. It's crazy to believe that. So anyway, that's out, and you can pick that up from Trainworld or any MTH authorized retailer. So we're super excited about it.
Very cool, Andy. I think my first or second locomotive was a MTH steam locomotive, and it's still hanging in there. So very impressive stuff, and we love the steam in the industry, and I have fun with it. So thanks for all you guys do, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
George the Great, George from Soundtracks. How you been?
Hey, I've been doing very, very well. How about yourself?
Good.
I do miss seeing you guys. So this been real tough during these train shows with being canceled. So
yeah, same here. And you guys are always innovating over there at Soundtracks and busy with something. What do you guys have up your sleeves?
So we're pretty excited this time around. We're able to venture into a scale that we have never really been, I don't want to say properly servicing, but being able to drop in. And so behind me, you'll notice my HO layout, but you'll see this one little tiny small N-scale locomotive. And so we're really excited to be able to offer our first step into N-scale drop-in. This is the KN1. It's a Kato N-scale wide body that will work with the F-series units like you see here, the E-series units, the PA series, the F40PH, and the P42s. And all of those prime movers are already preloaded into the decoder. So again, you just simply select a CV, pick which one of those you put it in, and it'll be ready to go. Now, what you're seeing is the first pre-production run off of the circuit, or off the machines downstairs. And it's going to come like this, and it'll come with a kit. So basically, you're also going to get 2 LEDs for your front and rear headlight that you'll just solder onto the circuit board. And the circuit board's already pre-regulated for the LEDs. So it's literally just a matter of adjusting the length, soldering it directly to the circuit board. You're going to get 2 sections of wire to be able to run to the speaker. You're going to get a speaker, which is will be some point down the line, Minicube 3. We're really excited about this speaker, but it's even smaller than the other speakers, Cube speakers that we have, and it'll come in this kit. And then you're going to get 2 pieces of Kapton tape to help insulate for the insulation. And it's going to come together as a kit. And so these are going to be shipping early in December. So be sure that you get your orders in at Trainworld and your local retailer for these. We're expecting these to be extremely hot item because we've been asked for years to get good quality sound and N-scale in a drop-in format. And so this is just the first step into it. We're really excited to be able to offer it. And I know it'll be very exciting as we move forward to get the different formats out. So I know our engineering team's working on a lot of stuff right now to try to help get more of this out and get more better servicing for the N-scale guys. So I'm really excited because I mean, now we get our Tsunami 2 Model Railroaders Reader's Choice Award winner twice for favorite sound decoder. Get that for N-scale guys. We're really excited. and we're looking forward to see how that goes. And like I said, we manufacture in-house, so we don't have to worry about delays or anything like that. So the stuff will be coming down the line pretty quick.
Good to hear it. I know 11 years ago in scale and sound, you wouldn't have thought of it when I entered the hobby. So it's good to see the N-scalers getting taken care of in the sound department. So thanks, George. Stacy Walters Naffa, how are you doing? Nice to see you.
Good. I thought you forgot about me.
No, matter of fact, Ken Silvestri did not give me enough cash in my envelope. So next time we'll probably start backwards and work our way back.
Well, I'll go quickly. I know that we're kind of running short on time, but in terms of arrivals, the reference book just arrived this week. So that represents a lot of stuff that you all are working on. So that's pretty exciting. And I would call attention to the fact that in the front, we've done this last year and this year, and we're treating it a little bit more like a yearbook, which if you really think about it, the book gives an opportunity to kind of have a timestamp on where we are in a given year. So we've got some really neat features in here, not the least of which are brick and mortar shops that are doing a really great job. We've got people, youth and some other people who have participated, showing us how they're enjoying the hobby, which I think is really, really exciting. So I would strongly urge you to, pick one up and check out the new product, but also the way that we're representing kind of what makes our hobby great in the book. So that's a new arrival. And since you skipped over me, I mean, my team did give me another thing that I was supposed to tell you about, which was a mainline caboose, an international vision. Like, I'm not always the person that does the best job of this stuff. But anyways, I'll tell you about the International Wide Vision Caboose. And it's just was announced yesterday at the online Train Fest. And it's going to be coming in February of 2021. And it's got a bunch of different paint schemes, and it looks like it's going to be a really good one. And it should actually, we'll be able to share that with all our dealers and with the marketplace. Pretty much, well, it was announced yesterday, so they will. Everybody will be able to order those very soon, probably like tomorrow. Ken, I was supposed to send that to you earlier today, so I'll send it to you after the thing.
It's okay. We'll make a big push.
Sounds good.
Very cool.
All right. Well, thanks. I don't think I missed you. I'm going a different way Ken went. So I'm going left to right of the way I see a screen. I don't know if you guys see the same thing. But a funny story about the Walters catalog when I got in the hobby is my cousin got me all the Walters catalogs from like 2000 all the way to 2011 when I entered the hobby, because he was such a fan of the Walters catalog that he had 2 copies of every catalog to keep me up to date. So then I just kept adding after that. So now I have all the catalogs for 20 years. So it's very cool to see all the announcements from Walters in the catalog, and then adding, kind of the story about the hobby like you mentioned. So thanks, Stacy.
No problem. And I would share my screen, but I know we're running short on time on the caboose.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. Rich Janicek from Bachman, how are you doing? And
hey, James, how you doing?
Pretty good.
Without a doubt, I think our most exciting introduction this year, I think Ken will probably agree, is our Siemens charger. It's available in 4 different item numbers here. It is complete with a DCC on board, all new tooling. It features TCS WOW sound with audio assist and keep alive. In the pipeline right now, unfortunately, we've sold out of our first production run. Well, fortunately for us, but some of the consumers that will be looking for them. We do have a second production run already in the works. We hope to get that first quarter of next year. If anybody needs them, they need to get them on order. We're about 50% sold through of our second production run already. So again, this for us is one of the most exciting locomotives we put out, and we're looking for bigger things. We'll continue to expand our offering on the product line next year. We'll come up with new cities, and then you'll see some new additions to things for that locomotive as well.
Thanks, Rich. Like I mentioned earlier, the modern stuff is just really a big hit. I ordered mine quickly from Ken, so ordered one of the ACS or one of the chargers, And I still see a lot of retailers with them in stock, so don't be too discouraged if
That's good to hear.
you don't see them in stock at Bachman. Be sure to check your online retailers. You might be able to find some floating around. So Tony Cook, would you like to talk about anything new from Model Railroad News or Collector, HO Collector magazine, or any of your wheelhouse?
Thanks, James. Yeah, Model Railroad News, its 25th year was this year and continues to go strong. As I say, our numbers were up. HO Collector, which seems like I just started that with my buddy Tony Lucio in Kentucky, it's in its 5th year this year and continues to get exciting stuff. I would like to mention, as far as a new product, something that I'm not involved in, but it's White River Productions, and that is we're going to add another annual. You know, we have like the Passenger Train Annual, Railroads Illustrated, our ON30, HON3 annuals. There'll be another annual coming in 2021, and that'll be Garden Trains Annual. And as I say, that's going to be new. You can go to shop.whiteriverproductions.com to take a look at all our books and magazines. But that's the newest thing to our family of publications, which is now at 9. That surprises me when I think about it, because when I started at Model Railroad News with White River, I think we had Passenger Train Journal and maybe Railroads Illustrated. And now when I think there's 9 monthly and quarterly publications in addition to like 20 historical society publications, it's really something. We've become quite a big family in the last decade.
Yep, a lot of growth. Good to hear of the growth with the White River Productions family, and you do a great job. So I'm sure you're contributing to a lot of that and making it a better place. So thanks, man. So now we got Pico last, I think. I don't think I missed anybody because I just went left to right from the top of my screen. But Pico, would you like to talk about a single announcement or arrival?
They may have to mute themselves first again.
Oh yeah, you guys
are
still on mute.
The mute unmute couple. Anyone else other than Pico after that? I think we got everyone on the new product.
Stacey, you want a couple seconds to talk about the?
Yeah, go with the caboose sharing while Pico is figuring out.
Technical issues.
Oh, it looks like they're set.
Okay.
But I'll take you up on that.
All right. I'll do a video.
Oh.
John's going to be a gentleman and just hang out for a bit. So Stace, why you get it shared this way? He gets it. Everyone squared away.
See if it works.
Please go ahead.
So can you guys see that?
Yep.
All right, great. So you got a Walther's main line, the International Wide Vision caboose. So you can see the pre-production samples there. And then I'm going to just scoot right down. You guys can see the features on those. And you can also see the road names. All right. So thanks for giving me that opportunity to do that. I appreciate it. And I even figured out screen share.
So you got a modern NS in there, and they do use those still. So that's pretty neat with the FRA striping and everything.
Yeah. And our mainline product has really been flying off the shelves. It's really, really popular at a great price point and a great level of detail. So there you go.
Great, glad you're not mad at me anymore.
I'm not at all mad at you, James. You're all good.
Thanks. All right, John, with Pico,
right.
What do you guys have?
Well, the guys that were working on a Saturday yesterday unloading the container would be mad at me if I only showed one item. But we got the Warbirds, hoppers, cars, and that's the 3rd and 4th in the series. And we do have some HO items here to show you that we make a couple thousand HO items. They're all European prototype. But the big thing for us in the past year or so has been RC, and kind of opposite the trend in the industry of more and more sophisticated. We've kept our RC control as simple as possible. And for the G-scale market, that seems to be what folks want. When you're out in the garden, you want something that's easy to use and you don't really have time or attention to work on a digital control, although we make a great DCC system as well. But our simple RC control, there's a new starter set there. With simple RC control, a little pocket remote, controls the train, and that seems to be what the G-scale market really is aimed at. So won't keep it too long. We've got lots of trains to play with, though. Thanks for watching.
All right, I think we covered everybody. So, Ken, I will hand it over to you for the next question. Ken Bianco. Sorry, we got a couple Kens going on here.
Great job, everyone, and tons of new products. So we really appreciate everyone for sharing. I'm going to go the other way around again because I know some people have a time crunch. But the next question up is the future of your business or hobby, any updates, merger acquisitions, and if you're trying to get into new scales, maybe you only produce G, but getting into HO or vice versa. And then if even production facilities. So just run the gamut if there's any updates, and we'll start with Stacy first because I know we may be on a time crunch. So we'll start with Stacy.
Well, thanks. I can be here for another 15 minutes or so, but I appreciate being here again. So you probably all heard that we acquired Chooch Enterprises, which is exciting for us. So if you're asking about acquisitions, that's something that we did. And I just think it's exciting to, keep a great brand alive and also to figure out how to round out our own offering. So that's in the acquisition department, what we've got going on. But I got a lot of thoughts on the future of the hobby, and I think it's really bright. And I think that a lot of the things that we're hearing here today and the things that we're seeing here are really supportive of that. So I think it's really exciting. And I could go on, but I won't. Any questions
great.
that you have about what we've done? But
yeah, no, Stace, that's great about Chooch, and I really think that they make a great product, and it fits in your wheelhouse so perfectly. It was like the perfect merger. So I think a lot of people are going to be really excited to go with that. The kits, the landscaping and scenery. So it kind of all in one. Really good selection there.
Yeah, and a little insight is we started talking about this well before the pandemic hit. So it's just interesting to see how regular stuff can just keep on going in the background, even when we're dealing with extreme stuff, when you know it's right and it's a good fit. So Mike is a great guy, and it's a good fit for him, good fit for us. And so we're excited about what's to come. So stay tuned.
That's great to hear. And why don't we, while Pico's up and running, let's get John and Dan before we lose him.
Okay. Well, our trains run more reliably than the computer connection here. So thank you. We have been looking at some things as well, and I think it's kind of an era when there are some opportunities in the industry. It has to be the right fit for us, but we're looking. We'll keep you guessing for a while. We don't like to throw things out there and see if there's interest. We want to just bring it to the market and say, here it is. Look what we've done, and we do that with products too. When we're ready to announce something new, it's coming. It's on the way. But yeah, there are some opportunities out there.
Very cool. Thanks, John, for sharing. Appreciate that. And all right, he's not going to let the cat out of the bag, but we'll skip to the next one.
Okay.
How about Ron from Intermountain? How you doing, Ron?
Okay, I'm doing great. Thank you again. So yeah, I echo Stacy's comment about the future looks bright for the industry and the hobby. As always, we have hiccups, we have speed bumps, and we got to make adjustments, especially us manufacturers, and I feel your pain, everybody that's here, with supply chain interruptions and difficulties and managing staff. And most of our businesses are not set up for most of our staff to work remotely, but we have to find a way to to manage those things. I want to point out that Intermountain specifically, and this goes back decades actually, but we are capable and set up to do our own tool making and molding and production here in Longmont, Colorado, in addition to bringing products in from overseas. So we're constantly working on developing new products, both from an engineering standpoint and production standpoint. So we're kind of dual sourcing already and have been. We just got to make adjustments as we go, and the way that the industry's going sometimes dictates that we do certain projects, spend a little more time and energy working on them here in Colorado, and other things overseas. So it's a good combination, and we're certainly excited about the future of the hobby. And like most of the rest of us here today, our reservations and our sales have been strong through this tough year of 2020. We're going to look back, someday we're going to look back and laugh at all this, I'm sure. It may be a while, but for the most part, things look good. We don't have any new acquisitions or anything like that to announce, but we do have 3 strong suppliers overseas. And like I say, we continue to do new engineering using our SolidWorks 3D CAD capability, and also doing our machining and molding here in Longmont as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to somebody else.
That's great. Thanks for the update. And let's kick it over to actually Tony, since I skipped you the last time.
Well, mergers and acquisitions. No, I think our newest magazine maybe is O-Scale Trains that we have as part of the White River Group. And again, go to shop.whiteriverproductions.com and you can see all of the magazines and books that we have. We've got calendars, of course, for next year too. I guess as far as acquisitions, Ken, you'd know better than me. Look my account up. What have I pre-ordered recently? I gotta mention your Broadway Limited exclusive run of that HO Santa Fe Black Bonded F unit that we talked about in the last week. That I've already pre-ordered one of those because I thought it was too cool. So there's my acquisition.
Yeah, well, Tony, I would like to tell everyone that you're single-handedly keeping us afloat throughout this COVID crisis. So thank you, Tony.
No problem. Glad to do it. Been buying from you since the early 80s.
I know. We appreciate it. But, how about a magazine, or, you also came out with the new HO magazines or collectors. Maybe talk about that.
Oh, well, I mean, the current issues of both. HO Collector has got 2 classics there that were by request from a lot of guys wanting to know about those 2 sets. One is Bachman from the mid 70s, their Old West stuff, wow, and the Virginian Century 430s. And if you're looking for ideas for Christmas, the current Model Railroad News, I go over 6 train sets from Bachman, Lionel, Walthers, that we've got HO and N sets featured in our December edition that's out right now. And I love the new Lionel sets. I know we talked about those too, because I got that nickel plate set, which is here on the cover, I actually bought from you guys at Trainworld. So awesome deal and awesome price. And be watching on a Modeler's Life podcast coming up. If you go to modelerslife.com, we talk about these train sets and ideas for getting started in the hobby with host Lionel Strang. So look for that podcast to drop here in the next month. So if you're looking to get a gift this year for somebody, and train sets are always tremendous, I've got 6 great ones for you here in the latest Model Railroad News.
That's great stuff. And why don't we keep it with the I guess magazines, and move over to Hal.
There, now that I'm unmuted. Mergers and acquisitions. Well, nothing except, as I mentioned earlier, trains.com. We're really excited about it. It combines everything from Trains Magazine, classic trains, classic toy trains, model railroader, and Garden Railways. Even though we've discontinued our print product, Garden Railways will live on the content on trains.com. And we put this together because we think while our print products are strong and they are certainly going to continue for a long time, new audience is going to be found online, and we've got a lot of people who are very talented in terms of making video and a lot of things, and it's not only entertaining, but it's informative, and we've really worked hard at this, and I'm going to be excited to see what happens when it comes out. But the good thing is our print products, again, not going anywhere. Many of our readers, they just love a print product, and we're gonna keep putting them out as long as we can.
That's great stuff, Hal. And how about Atlas? Scott, I know you guys actually had a acquisition recently, no?
Indeed, yeah. Recently, we were able to acquire several of the HO molds and tooling from Trueline Trains, which was an extremely compatible and well-priced acquisition that we've been able to do, and are bringing out products already from that acquisition. The first thing we'd announced about our previous catalog was the slab side hopper, which has been absent from the market for quite some time. And that was very well received. Of course, we're going to be bringing more things from that acquisition over the next year. I can't tell you exactly what yet, but suffice it to say that it will be a very nice year for modelers who've been looking for those products since they've not been available for quite some time. Normally we don't talk about mergers and acquisitions in general as an organization, but we always are open to considering, compatible acquisitions or reasonably priced acquisitions as well, because in many cases you really want to make sure that you're bringing the best and the most diverse set of tools to the hobby, which is what we really tend to like to do. We've done a little bit, in all scales. We're pretty much well represented, and recently have been looking at making some Z-scale track. And so in addition to the standard, O, N, and HO that we've worked with, moving into doing a little bit of Z-scale track as well is another way of looking at another scale that may be of interest to folks. So it's, really an exciting time, I think, in the industry from that perspective, to be able to bring these products to the end user and the market.
That's great. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. And why don't we ask Lionel Howard? Lionel's, the name of trains when people think about the starter sets back in the day, and the kids and how they got started. So, you guys kind of keep on always looking to innovate and change and look for the future.
Yeah, Ken, I think, for us, we really are always about innovation. And as I said, that's been what we've focused on since I've been here and started. As far as acquisitions or anything like that, I mean, nothing to speak of at the moment. We're continuing to push on and build out our HO category, expand that. That's an important part of our future business. And leverage our platform, the Lion Chief platform, Bluetooth platform across all technologies. But really, this year, unfortunately, being COVID year, is what was our 100 or is currently our 120th anniversary. And so really for us, it's been a lot about how do we continue to engage the market. And we have obviously the collector, the hardcore hobbyist space, but we're always focused on how do you continue to try to put more people in the top of the funnel. And really distill them down to, families, we're trying to talk to moms, kids. And so, we've created a lot of interactive type stuff. We've really expanded the use of social media. We've started a couple of new series, Demos with Dave and Workbench Wednesday with, of course, Dave and Ryan, which have been super well received. Continue to leverage the platforms of Facebook and YouTube. Even some influencers on Twitter or on TikTok, we've started to kind of engage with, and it's really about spreading the word and getting that joy and love of trains which, you know, this is the perfect time of year with Christmas and setting up a set under your tree to really kind of get people focused on that, and then ultimately extending that out with technology and expansion. But overall, we think the future of the hobby is bright. We look forward to continuing to push the envelope in development and kind of wide stream technologies, and you know, just things are going well. As you know, it's been an interesting year. We'll see how long this continues, but we're positive about it.
That's great. And I know a lot of people are excited that you guys are starting to get back into the HO market. So, you know, that's always great news when you're expanding your line. So we appreciate that, and always your foresight in the industry for all of us.
Yep.
How about you, George? What are you hearing out there?
Well, I know the industry is really good as far as technology. I mean, we're always pushing the bounds. I know we've got a lot of projects under the engineering development team that not quite ready for announcements yet. So we're always looking to push the envelope, like we talked about with the N-scale drop-in. So from that side of it, I mean, our business is strong. We're manufacturing in Colorado. All of our electronic circuit boards are built on the machines downstairs. So, I mean, we're pretty steady. We're built up, ready for all this going forward. And, you know, so on that side of it, we're pretty excited, pretty strong, and looking forward to another 30 years and longer of being the industry leader in sound and DCC technology.
Very cool. Great. And how about you, Ken? The other Ken Silvestri.
Hello.
Mergers, acquisitions, stock tips?
Well, under mergers, I only have one thing to tell you about that. Bob's been in negotiation with Jeff Bezos about buying Amazon. It may be a little bit ambitious, but who knows? You know, in the meantime, BLI is going to continue to produce cool and HO scale trains. And we'll let you know about how that merger goes. So stay tuned.
Very cool. Thanks, Ken. How about Stacy and Gail?
You got my name.
Stacy and the other guy.
I'm sorry.
But, you know, we're not looking at acquiring anybody, but we are looking at, as Markland Inc., we are looking at adding new lines to our product offering. A lot of them are available in America, but many of them are not. And so we're looking to bring in some lines that you guys have never seen before, and hope to get into new markets and grow our continually expanding products. We've already started growing into Mexico now. We're starting to sell to stores in Mexico. We have stores in Canada, so we just continue to get bigger. And so hopefully in the near future, we'll see some new stuff coming out of this.
Expanding North America.
That's great to hear. How about Bobby?
Well, I agree. I think the future is very bright. I think this year is just hopefully a speed bump. Maybe it'll be into part of next year too. But for us, we have no real mergers or acquisitions. But in terms of production facilities, we have 3 currently right now, and we're in the early stages of getting a 4th set up, and that'll be in correlation with the UK side of us, that we're restarting all that. And the plant, we have a operations manager we hired, and we're looking to expand a little bit more on the employee side, all within probably the next couple of weeks to about a month or so. And with that, we have just a very, very ambitious plan for the UK part of Rapido to just expand it more and make it probably bigger than the last time we had it. So this time we'll have people in that side, not just us doing both sides. We'll have their own separate people to really expand on just everything day-to-day, operations, project management, just everything all together for the UK side of Rapido. So right now that's where we stand. And like I said, I do believe it's growing, and I think that this year will be, you know, it'll be unfortunate. And like I said, in next year, but I really do believe going to shows, just seeing presence on Facebook, all the live streams we do, just everything everywhere. There's just a lot of people just waiting to get going again, and there's a lot of people in it right now still that are just focused on everything. And I can tell you, everybody at Rapido has their layouts they're building, so it's I don't have anything right now, but I'm looking to eventually hopefully build something. But just watching everybody with all this free time now that they're home 24/7, it's just amazing. So that's where we stand.
Very interesting. And tell Jason he owes me a fish and chips from across the pond. And how about
Once we can travel
Jim
again.
from Athern? You're actually a newer face, Jim. So why don't you kind of tell everyone out there who you are and I guess the direction of Athern?
Sure, thanks, Ken. Yeah, you're right. I signed on to Athern this past summer, back in August, and I have been a modeler. I've actually been in the industry, but more on the RC side of things. But I've been a model railroader for 35 years now, and I'd say since 1995, predominantly N scale, and I do HO as well, and lots of prototype stuff. I've always been interested in the prototype, so Athern's a really good fit for me. I love the challenge of finding things that people suggest and trying to get that as accurate as possible. Helping the guys out. Janik and Matt both are very busy all the time, coming out with new products and doing all the research, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff that our customers don't get to see. So yeah, it's great to be on board. I really enjoy it. And I know some of the folks here from my past endeavors within the industry. So and it's good to meet everybody and come on board.
That's great. Great stuff. And we'll kick it over to Rich from Bachman.
Thanks, Ken. I think I'm going to echo what other people have said. We're really bullish on the hobby. I think there's a silver lining that can be taken away from what's happening in the world today is people have had to take a step back from their busy lives, and what that has done for our industry is basically it's rekindled their interest, whether they had that as a child, whether they basically move that on to someone new in the industry. So I think going forward, we're going to continue to see strong growth across the board in the industry. In terms of acquisitions, we're not really looking at anything right now. We are looking to expand our licensing base, and we want to do a little bit more with our G-scale business. We have a lot of tooling. We just recently introduced the Dash 9. It was an Aristocraft tool. So that's something that we're looking at doing going into the future.
That's great stuff. Great to hear. And last but not least, everybody's been asking and commenting on Facebook and YouTube. Andy from MTH. Any update?
Well, there is no update. As many of you probably know, this is our 40th anniversary, and 2020 marks the last year of MTH's promotion of product under the current ownership of Mike Wolf. Mike has decided to retire, and we are actively looking for buyers of the tooling. And I would have loved to been able to tell everybody the skinny on all of that right now, but we don't have any good information to pass on yet. Things are in process. Hopefully, after the first of the year, we'll be able to say something. But it's been an interesting ride. As I mentioned at the outset of the show, part of dealing with COVID was also starting the process that currently exists. And we're delivering a ton of product. We're super high on all of that merchandise that's shipping. Most of it is sold through. I know you guys have ordered a lot of stuff, and some maybe to your chagrin with your dad, but I won't jump too much on that. No, there's nothing to announce today. Hopefully some news shortly after the first of the year. Hopefully I'll be a part of whatever that is. It's been a great ride, my 40th year in the industry as well, and certainly looking forward to more years after this.
Well, I want to say, first of all, if there's ever a panel to do a market pitch, this is the great elevator pitch platform. And Andy has been an integral part of MTH Trains and always a class act and really just one of those key backbone structures, components, great person, and really a guru at his job, and we really appreciate everything you've done, Andy. And Mike is a great leader, but he couldn't have done it without you, Rich, and the great team members you guys got over there. So we really appreciate everything you've done, and hopefully maybe one of these panelists will definitely be working with you in the future.
Yeah, that'd be great. I appreciate the kind words. As I said, it's been a great teamwork atmosphere over at MTH. I've known Mike forever, and wish him well in what he's going to do with his life. We're all young guys, so he's doing what I think all of us dream of doing, which is retiring in a position where you can do that comfortably and live the rest of your life comfortably. And certainly wish him all the best on that. And now that Walmart has eliminated the greeter position, I'm certainly going to be looking for something else to do. I was terribly disappointed when they announced that, but c'est la vie, as they say, and I'll just continue shouldering on with this business as long as I can, and looking forward to seeing people out on the road again when shows come back, and certainly enjoy doing these panels. We'll continue to do that as time allows.
That's great, Andy. And I wouldn't limit yourself to the door greeter position. You got a lot more talents than that. But did I miss anyone on the panel? If I do, just chime in before I cut you off. All right. And then I'll kick off the next question to James. Why don't you start off the next question?
All right. So part of this is something we planned on asking. Part of it's a viewer question, so I'll just mix them both. Is COVID affecting your warranty, repair, or shipping time? Is it causing any delays, or do you have any updates there? And then another thing a lot of modelers want to know about is quality control. Do you want to talk about what your business does to ensure that the majority of models gets out the door without any issues? Every thing I've touched has had some sort of tiny little imperfection or something, because the UPS guy had a bad day, or somebody in the huge process from development all the way to delivery has had an issue. But is there anything you guys do to kind of ensure or minimize quality control issues with your company? So with that, I'm a little more regimented, so I'll start. I see Stacy's back. If you want to chime in first, Stacy, you're welcome to, or if you want to pass, that's fine as well.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I do actually have to head, so I was going to just ask if I'll cover this one and maybe a quick statement on your last question, and then I'll head out.
Sure.
Sorry to have to do that. It's family stuff.
No problem. Family comes first.
So on the parts and warranty side, we're really actually very pleased to say that we're caught up, which I'm thrilled about that. Our team is thrilled about that. So we've been working really hard at just catching up and making sure that we can handle customer requests and the repairs that we had in the queue. On QC, that's critically important. We never want to send anything out that isn't up to our quality standard. Of course, there have been things that have slipped in the past, but gosh, that should be the exception. We've got multiple steps along the chain that many people, many eyes, many processes to make sure that we're coming up with the best product that we can for the end user. So we're always looking at that, and we're very committed to it. So I don't see any change in that right now. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why people come into the office right now at Walthers. The people who are doing those interim inspections and the things that we need to be doing all along those various steps, because there's many, many steps, as you know. We're making sure that people are coming into the office to do that. And of course, we're communicating very actively with our partners. And then, I think the biggest thing that we're struggling with right now is something that I think Howard said, or maybe somebody else did, about domestic shipping. Honestly, we're having less trouble with the international shipping and our supply chain shipping to us than we are just with our own domestic, with the capacity load that the domestic shipping lanes are having right now. It's significant, and it's going to be that way for a while. So that can create some frustrations. So I guess I would just appeal to those who are watching at home to say, we're doing the best we can on the things that we can control. And in some cases, some of the things we just can't control right now, which is very frustrating. And so I know we're talking to some customers who are wondering where their packages are. And frankly, I feel the same way sometimes. I'm waiting for things that, I haven't seen either. And I think we all just have to be gentle with each other to a certain extent, knowing that we are doing the best that we can to get it here. But we won't compromise on the QC. So we're always going to have it out a little later and make sure it meets our quality expectations rather than having it out early and not right. And then I'll just leave you all with a statement that I absolutely miss going to shows. I'm sad the Train Fest didn't happen this weekend. I love having everybody come to Milwaukee. I love the hospitality, the camaraderie of it. So it's really exciting to be able to do it virtually. It doesn't feel the same, and there's nothing like connecting one-on-one with a customer. So I look forward to being able to do that, and I encourage us to keep doing things like this that can keep us connected, but at the same time keep us safe. So, and I think the hobby's changed, but in a good way. I actually think that in some cases, the things that are staying the same are the things that are actually really exciting that people are noticing. So there's the stuff that stays the same that people are just more attuned to and more appreciative of. And then there's new things like forcing you to be innovative, forcing you to make changes that maybe you should have made earlier, and really forcing us to think differently and creatively. And honestly, we're a creative hobby, and we encourage that in people. So I think we should be doing that in our businesses too. So I'm really, really grateful at the end of the day to be a part of this great hobby. And I'm the president of the world's greatest hobby organization. And many companies on this call are also part of that group. And so stay tuned for more information on that. As a group, we really want to figure out how we can elevate all voices in our hobby and make sure that we're bringing new people in and also satisfying those who are already a part of it and just want to get even deeper into it. So thanks for this opportunity, Ken and James, and I wish everybody safe and happy Thanksgivings, and don't be strangers. Let's reach out to each other. It's just as easy as a Zoom. All right. So
yeah, thank you so much, Stacy. And I do want to say I know personally it's not easy to fill someone's shoes, and you have done an outstanding job with your company, and everybody just has the utmost respect for Walters, you and your family. So we appreciate everything that you've done for the hobby, and especially encouraging families and the youth to get into it. You've done a huge outreach promotion for that. So, I think the hobby is indebted to your company and to you, and just kudos and thank you so much for everything. We really appreciate it, Stace.
Thanks. It's a team effort. We can't do it alone. So we all have to kind of lock arms and try new things and invite people to participate in it. So I put the thanks back to everybody because we're going to do this together. And as you know, I'm pretty passionate on the topic, and I wouldn't have chosen to come back to the family business if I didn't truly, truly and deeply believe in it. So let's keep having fun. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry I have to go.
No problem. Thank you, Stace.
Take care.
So Stacy made a good point about just regular shipments being delayed. So I'd encourage everybody to give the hobby the same courtesy as they'd give Amazon or anything else. Ken, Sylvester, you might want to tell Bob not to buy Amazon too quickly, because the last 5 or 6 orders, I've probably had 1 or 2 items lost. So it's just kind of happening more frequently with some carriers than the other. Maybe something with the letters USPS a little more than others, but it's something that we're working through. And sometimes people, they need to afford the hobby manufacturers a little bit of courtesy. If I buy a $2,000 TV and it doesn't work, I take it back. But sometimes when you buy a $400 or $500 locomotive, it's the end of the world, instead of kind of treating it like you would anything else. So it's important to remember that as well. So with that, we'll move on to Pico again. COVID with COVID affecting warranty, repair, or shipping times, and what you guys do to ensure you have QC processes in place.
I think John's got to unmute himself first.
Oh, yeah. So we'll let them do that. I'll move to Tony Cook real quickly. Tony, you probably, is COVID affecting any of your shipping times with magazines really, or?
I did hear some things initially in like last spring, and especially like Canadian deliveries, international had a lot of delays, but in general, no, lately I've not. In fact, really since midsummer, I think things have been pretty much back on track. So I think we're doing pretty well with things. So if not, again, look on our website, shop.whiteriverproductions.com. There's a phone number there. So if you are having any problems with subscriptions or orders, let us know. But as far as I know, I think it's been humming along pretty good.
Okay, so Pico, you're back with me?
Okay, I think so. All right. Well, the one big effect on our business is that there has been an increase in business. So yes, we're working harder. Of course, the more trains you sell, the more you'll need to repair some along the way. And people are digging out those old trains. You know, I bought this 12 years ago. Can you get it working for me again? You know, I put it away. It was broken. But as far as quality control, in fact, Ken, your friend Renee is at the factory in China right now. He went over there a couple weeks ago and had to go through his 2-week quarantine before he could get to the factory. Even though it's our factory, he's not allowed to go there without going through the quarantine. And because our factories are our own factories, I think we have less issues, not less issues, but less things get out. We stay on top of it pretty well. And that goes with Germany as well. And what was the rest of that question? The transit times, yeah, for not only our container that was supposed to have been here a week ago and finally showed up yesterday. That's been a regular occurrence lately, and other people are experiencing that. And then the transit times, getting things across the country for our whole industry, almost everything has to be shipped from us to Trainworld, of course, or from Trainworld to your customers. And I hope that consumers, the hobbyists out there, can understand a little bit of that. You want to buy when you want to buy, but once it leaves the building here, it's kind of out of our control. And both FedEx and UPS are running days behind in some cases because of the huge business that they've seen increased with COVID. So they've, you know, our FedEx rep told me that back in March, they were running like 3 million packages a day more than the Christmas peak of 2019. So the whole system is kind of one big congealed mess, and more, like you're seeing, James, more problems happen with deliveries, things go wrong. So we're all hoping that goes pretty smoothly this season, but a word to the wise to people, buy those holiday gifts a little bit earlier if you can. So we're doing our best to get things right out whenever anybody orders. So we're all hoping for a good season for our retailers like Trainworld as well.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Rich Janicek from Bachman, would you like to talk about COVID affecting your warranty, repair, shipping time delays, and what you guys do to ensure quality control of your products?
Sure, James. Right now we're caught up. We have basically no issues with backlogs. As I mentioned earlier, you know, when we first started the conversation, we did close our walk-up repair service. So, I mean, it's a little bit of an inconvenience for our customer, but we felt that for the protection of both the customer and our employees, we felt that was the best thing to do. In terms of our quality control, it's probably our number one most important thing that we look for. Even while we were closed, we actually rerouted production samples, pre-production samples to basically anybody that was working from home. So that process continued throughout the course of the time that we were closed. And we have many steps in place. Before anything shipped to us, we do get several production pieces out of the boxes. So and if we find any problems with it, we will hold up the shipment of that product. So it is our number one priority when it comes to product out there that we really basically want our consumer to enjoy. Unfortunately, things do kind of slip out, but like so we try to do what's right to get it fixed and get it quickly.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I don't think you'll find any answers that people are intentionally missing quality control, because people need to realize, the consumer needs to realize, that it's just going to bog down the manufacturer with all the repairs. It's going to kill their repair department if they're not proactive on it. But it's good to hear some of the different techniques and kind of specifics the companies go to ensure QC occurs. George from Soundtracks, you want to talk about QC of coders? I've been to your facility, so I've seen some of how that works, but you want to talk about it a bit?
Sure, absolutely. And QC quality is exactly one of the biggest things that keep us manufacturing in-house, because if we were to contract manufacture or build these things, overseas or anything like that, you can't really have that firsthand quality control on it. And as you saw when you visited, and Kenny, I know we've done a live stream with you before doing a tour of the factory as well. But we do hand test every single one of our decoders that run off the machines. And that's not just after the fact, but there's tests during the manufacturing process. Our machines will flash test some of the components to make sure that they're working before they're put on the board. We also have what's called a flying probe tester, which is really fun to watch, because it's basically, as its name implies, a bunch of probes that fly over the circuit board and test the validity of every solder joint. And then, as I mentioned, our technicians do hand test every one of our decoders. And that goes to our OEM partners, whether it be stuff we're sending to Bachman or to Athearn or anybody else. Those full production runs are all hand tested one by one. And if they do encounter any issues, they do repair them, fix them, test them again, and make sure they're good quality before they leave. Right now, when it comes to support and handling repairs, I will say our biggest challenge right now is I'm actually operating without a full-time support person. I'm basically handling all of those tasks right now, both on the phone and email. And then by committee, we're handling the repairs in-house. So we have one of our technicians from downstairs comes up and does the hand testing of the boards to verify any component issues or failures or even resets. There's a lot of decoders we get that just need a reset. And then we have somebody else handling the paperwork and processing them and turning around and shipping them out. So we're on top of it. We're not really far behind, but it makes it a little challenging because I'm not in the office to do it myself. And so sometimes I'll get a question about, hey, do you know what the status of my support is or my decoder? And I say, well, I don't know. I'll have to ask and find out and call you back. So, I mean, until we are looking for somebody full-time support. So if you're interested in looking into getting in the model railroad industry and want to come down to Durango, Colorado, send your resume in and we'll take a look at it and see if we can get somebody out. But I mean, that's our biggest challenge right now. And we're staying on top of it. But I will say there are many nights that I'm sitting there at 7, 8 o'clock at night trying to make sure that I answer each and every single email that we get, because I don't want to lose that quality because I'm short a person. So, so we're staying on top of it. Quality is important. And so because we do the checks beforehand, the return decoders are at a minimum. Most of them are usually related to user error, but we handle it and repair it anyway. So we're happy to do it. And again, we want to make sure this hobby is fun for the end user.
Great to hear. So maybe you'll find a new hire out there in the folks that are watching this video.
You'll never know. We'll see.
Andy Edelman, you want to talk about QC? I know it's probably with the transition. I saw a release where you guys were still going to be supporting product for quite a while after MTH is no longer MTH, but you want to go into that in more detail?
Yeah, James, for sure. We've obviously going to have warranties that are outstanding because we'll have product delivering right through the spring of 2021. So there will be a customer service and parts support staff that is going to be manned by current employees of MTH, and they'll be having their own website and doing all of that kind of stuff. Obviously, from a quality control standpoint, our company has long embraced the position of checking all the product when it comes in before it gets shipped out to the retailers and the end user. So that continues even now, and will through the delivery of all of the remaining product. So we'll be announcing that support division and the parts site and all of that after the first of the year. And it'll go live sometime in the spring as we transition away from the current site and the customer support team that's in-house. Obviously, MTH has a fairly large and substantial retail service center network out in the marketplace, and they'll continue to support the product and work closely with that new division that will be created in 2021.
All right, and we hope we see you again in a new role. If not, I'm guessing you're going to go be a broadcaster for college basketball or something. But we hope you stay with us in the hobby.
You know, I'm 0 for 28 in my college basketball pool, so I'm really not that good. So no, that probably won't be it, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. All right, Bobby Allard from Atlas. Again, just a reminder, COVID affecting warranty, or you have any repair?
I think you mentioned my previous employer from
Oh, sorry.
10 months ago.
Sorry.
No problem.
COVID. Rapido.
No worries whatsoever. It started out kind of odd. Obviously, it started out odd for everybody, but one of the key factors in shipping and delaying of product coming in and out was Canada Post actually closed down some of their runs, and they would actually stack up maybe about, I don't know how many boxes a day, but a lot of our repairs would get stuck in the sorting facilities, and we would not actually be able to get them out for days or weeks at a time. So the repair guys all had issues, and some of them were coming from the States, and we even told people, you know what, hold on, don't send them, hold on, wait till everything gets sorted out. We don't want anything to happen or get lost. In that time, we actually hired someone in the US to do repairs and warranty work. So it goes to her instead. And that alleviated some of the problems. And as we got further through the summer and then to now, we have about a 3 to 4 day turnaround before everything goes back out. So we've managed to really crunch that down, hammer out everything. And I'll tell you, the repair guys are really doing their best. And Joel, our shipping manager, everything that he does, he came in when everybody else left the office in the very beginning. He would come in by himself, get everything sent out, and go home. So there were days when it was just him by himself in there, and it was probably pretty lonely. But we got to give a real pat on the back to Joel and the repair guys and girl for really doing a great job of getting us down. And in terms of quality control, with everybody in different spots. Now, granted, the people up in Toronto were, they still can deliver stuff here and there, but for some of us here in the States, it can be a little bit of a difficulty or of a challenge. But what we normally do is we have someone either up in Toronto or it's shipped to us down here for us to look over and review. One of the key things is that a lot of photos you see pop up to the website or on Facebook or social media, a lot of them have been looked through at that point in time. And if we deem them, if something got destroyed on something or an issue with something, we'll put it up, but then we'll put a note on why, expect it to not look like this, or pre-production sample, or for example, the flexi flows that came in, they were flawless. We just threw them right up, looked through them, and got them ready for shipment. So that's where we stand with that.
Great, thanks for the update. Jim from Athearn, you want to talk about QC and also, if COVID's affecting your warranty and repair or shipping?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, like a lot of us here, we had some issues. That was a new situation none of us have ever encountered before. But as with anything, we evolved and we've moved on and we've adapted to our new situation. As far as QC, we always strive to do the best that we can. We're modelers too. I say that every Train Tuesday on our channel. Myself and Janik and Matt and even the guys that you don't see behind the scenes. Most of the guys at Athearn are model railroaders too. So we want to share our passion with you, and we try our best to make sure everything gets to you in the way that you think it should look and run and everything else. Now, we live, unfortunately, in an imperfect world, and whether, like you said earlier, James, the UPS man is having a bad day or something of that nature, things happen. And fortunately, we do have a great crew on the West Coast that help out with repairs, warranty situations, things of that nature. That way, when something does happen, we can take care of it quickly. We try to get everything back so that you're enjoying the hobby again and not waiting for something to arrive in the mail. Pretty much the biggest thing that we have to wait on is the guys in California that do a lot of the work on our products. They're overwhelmed because, again, we're seeing an overwhelming amount of things being shipped. So as a result, all of our shippers are under a lot of stress and things get backed up. But fortunately, we're happy to have great customers that are, for the most part, patient, and they do know we'll take care of them. So that's something that we're constantly trying to, expedite for our customers. And then as far as shipping times, delays, updates, things of that nature, actually the last few months we've been really happy to say stuff's been coming in earlier than we anticipated, which is always a good thing. A lot of our customers, as you know, we announce these products about a year in advance, and it's fun to wait in anticipation and think about what you're going to get in the mail or your dealer shelves, and it's nice when those come a little bit early. So that's been working well for us, and we're just going to continue to streamline where we can. And again, we want to just take this moment to say thank you to our customers that have been extremely, just grateful and for what for their patience and such. So really, really good time for the hobby. Actually, we're really busy, and hopefully it stays that way as we go into 2021.
All right, thanks, Jim. Now, Ron at Intermountain, when I was fairly young in the hobby, I toured Intermountain, and one thing that impressed me was you had like a loop of track testing every locomotive. And to this day, I don't know if that's still common practice, either overseas or in-house once the products come to the U.S., but it still sat with me as something that was a warm, fuzzy feeling as a modeler. Do you want to talk about whether COVID's affecting your warranty and repair process or anything else you want to add on the QC part?
Sure, James. Yeah, thank you. And by the way, you're always welcome to come for a visit anytime you want. Great point. We do inspect product very diligently. Depends on the product. We have different procedures for each type of product. Locomotive case, yes, we do inspect every one. We test it, make sure that the features are all functioning properly and that the locomotive is running good before it goes out. So as far as quality control, warranty procedures, customer service, for Intermountain, it's business as usual. We are really focused on maintaining our, good reputation on always being available to our customers, helping them through issues. And we want every customer and every dealer to have a really positive experience with the Intermountain products, whether they're operating it on a layout, whether they're collecting, whether they're displaying it. It's really important to us to have a product that they can be proud of. So we stand by that quality, and we won't ship it out until it passes those inspections and goes onto the shelf. Now, to back up a step, a couple of years ago, many of you know and understand that there was a supply chain interruption throughout the whole industry. And we traveled overseas to visit multiple factories 3 times over about 16 months. And we qualified and set up 3 additional factories to manage the production for Intermountain. Now, a lot of work, a lot of diligent struggles went into that. But the beauty of it is, the silver lining is, we were able to establish new quality control procedures with each of those factories as we develop new products. So we've always had stringent quality control procedures, but this gave us an opportunity to start over with each of those factories. So we set up a step-by-step manufacturing process, step-by-step standard operating procedures, or SOPs, as many of you know. And all of that was very carefully documented. So the inspection process happens in the factories before the product's packaged and shipped to us. And then again, once we receive it and get ready to ship to our end customers, whether that be a dealer or a consumer. So yeah, it's been a good process for us. And we've always had a great reputation for customer service, quality control, and warranty repairs and things like that. It's been even better in the last 18 months. So we're excited about that, and we do have the staff to handle all that.
All right, thanks, Ron. Howard, I want to kick it over to you with the same question. So would you like to talk about how COVID's affecting your warranty and repair and shipping and QC?
Yeah, absolutely. And I am going to apologize. I am going to have to kind of do what Stacy did here, kind of answer both. But thank you, Ken and James, for hosting this. Just to jump into the first part of the question on the quality, from a repair perspective, yes, our shutdown initially had us backed up a little bit. Luckily, as we were able to bring staff back safely and in an environment that was following the requirements of the state, we've been able to dig out of that hole. In fact, we actually just offered our online parts deal, our annual deal, which is typically tied to our warehouse sale, which we did not have this year. So from the service side of things, we're in good shape, and that's been great. On the quality side of things, there's we have a number of processes as we go through the production, which is set up at each factory. There's checkpoints. Boards are tested before they're installed in locomotives. Locomotives are tested at parts of their assembly process, then the finished product. We do transit test the packaging. Inevitably, there's things that happen. These single packages as they kind of get bounced around in all these different delivery methods and there's a lot of temporary workers this time of season, which handling gets changed from maybe routine and maybe less peak times. There is stuff that happens, and it's a function of the world is changing in how you ship and move products around. We do our very best to make sure, obviously, that they get to the consumer safely. From a quality perspective and checkpoint, COVID has, it was mentioned earlier, but samples, when we get samples out of the factory, they were directed to the individual product managers' homes. So we had some testing and stuff that was going on sort of at the home level, which was always interesting. As soon as engineering got back into the office, we were able to get them focused on testing the products. We do inspect products as they come in. We do thousands of products a year. So we do try to put our eyes on the majority of products. There are some things like track and more simple basic stuff that we may not go through the rigors of opening up stuff and checking it out with the expectation that the factory has followed their procedures. And ultimately, our team in China has done their job, and they're there at the factories doing quality assessments as that happens. So quality is highly important to us. We really, pride ourselves in the product that we put out, and so that's a big part of it. Just to kind of very quickly touch on the sort of last element, trade shows. Absolutely, we miss being out there. The team, myself, from being out and engaging with not only the industry but the consumers. You get so much feedback from consumers, and not only that, it sort of gives you a sense of personal satisfaction for what you do. And you see kids smile at World's Greatest Hobby, and you see adults smile at some of the more collector-based shows, right? When you have certain things out, but you get to get a lot of feedback, and it's a real team effort to get these products produced and manufactured and delivered. Certainly a team effort to be out there on the road. The industry is tight knit. My team did tell me they're missing on the beverages on the back of the MTH truck. That was something that was definitely I was supposed to bring up, but no, in all honesty, we certainly miss being out there. I think it's pushed us to figure out different ways to communicate and change our business practices, some for the better, some that will probably carry on. Of course, we all hope that there will be a more normal situation in the near future here. But I really appreciate being able to be on here. I've committed myself to an obligation that I need to kind of get to. But thank you so much for hosting this and pulling this together. It was a lot of fun.
All right, thanks, Howard, and best wishes to you. Have a good evening.
Thank you very much. You too.
Thank you, Howard. We really appreciate it. And, Lionel is a super important aspect for our model train hobby and is kind of like the backbone. So we really appreciate you being on and spending the time to chat with us. So it means a lot. Thank you, Howard.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday if I don't talk to you before that.
Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
So we're on to Markland and LGB. Would you guys like to talk about your warranty and repair process, shipping times, how COVID's affecting it, and then maybe QC a little bit?
Sure, James. Quality control, Markland LGB has always been pretty strict on that. So the COVID did not really affect it. As the distributor bringing it in, we always spot check everything that we bring in just to make sure that somebody didn't miss something. So that has been unaffected. What we've been doing in America now is we're setting up a service in America as opposed to having everything have to go back to Germany to be repaired. That's working out quite well. The same thing with a lot of the other people are saying is that they're being inundated with old stuff. People are bringing out of their closets to get running again. As we always like to say, some of our biggest competition is our old stuff that people keep bringing back and fixing up and going. Our parts supply in America is just growing and growing. We can't keep up with the old parts and the new parts just so people don't have to wait to get their trains running again. It's going like crazy. But as the Stacy and Howard had said, we're going to have to exit out of here for a family commitment. But so we'll go ahead and answer the last question as well before we do so. Go ahead.
But with delivery now, we use UPS. I just wanted to go back to that and say, knock on wood, I think our delivery, we haven't had much delays using them. They're pretty good. They're on time. And for the most part, we're really happy with them. But we miss going to train shows a lot. I don't go as much as Gail, but it's the best way you get to meet your customers face to face. Our customers are really fans. They've been dedicated to our product lines for decades, some of them. So it's really nice to meet them in person. And it's nice to meet our fellow manufacturers and the magazines and everybody who's part of this hobby family. So we really miss seeing people face to face.
All right. Well, thank you guys and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, you two. We really appreciate it. And we'll always enjoy your dynamic duo acts and especially the Christmas aspect that you brought tonight because Christmas is around the corner. So thank you guys so much for joining us.
It's all about Christmas.
and you look very festive tonight too, I must say.
Tried that.
We'll work on our superhero outfits for the next one.
We'll have capes.
Very good. Thank you guys so much for joining. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Ken.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
All right, off to Hal Miller. I guess you would be mostly, are there any shipping delays with Kalmbach products? Are you guys having any uprising there?
No, the shipping has been great. The one thing, and I was a little remiss earlier about not mentioning our warehouse people. While the editorial people have been able to work from home, our warehouse people have been in the building since the beginning of the pandemic, and they have done a stellar job of keeping product coming in and going out, and all the orders. Definitely great job of fulfillment. Our customer service people, both externally and in-house, have also done a great job of keeping people happy, and that's been I think the big hallmark of Kalmbach for years is our customer service. We really want to make things right for you, and we really want you to have the best experience we can with the products. As far as quality control goes, it was a real change, and we had to put together a completely different workflow to work from home, all the editorial groups, and ultimately we ended up crossing over a lot of people who for instance, I might edit some things from Trains magazine, and I might also edit some Model Railroader. And we have other people from different titles and different brands who might be editing some classic toy trains content. And the upshot of this is we get really fresh eyes on it, and the quality control stays high. So it's been a real change, but again, our people have adapted, and I think they've done a fantastic job.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And it's always good to pick up Kalmbach products or get them in the mail. So it's great stuff. Scott, you want to talk about Atlas's QC, and then if it's COVID's affecting the warranty?
Certainly. Yeah, I mean, May and June, there were some consumer repair delays when we were in lockdown, and just the general shipping aspect. But we're caught up on all of that. Warranty repair has really been unaffected. Our customer support guys have just been fantastic at turning things around. Shipping, same deal. Our warehouse staff and our shipping group has been exemplary in getting product out when we get product in. As far as quality, COVID has also, given us some new ways of doing QC, not only by being overseas, but also empowering some of our suppliers to cross-check quality aspects of what they've been working on, so that way, there's more than one set of eyes on one set of products at times before it even leaves the dock. Once it arrives, it still goes through, product still goes through inspection at Atlas. Container shipments, as a result of the social distancing and masking and everything else, take a little bit longer to go through, but we want to make sure that we're not only providing good quality product, but also a good quality experience for the people that work with us and work for us, so that we're able to also manage, aspects of the COVID problem, as well as, making sure our quality remains high. We've established additional quality levels of looking at products in different stages, of course. A lot of photographs, a lot of interactive web meetings, for example, we've added as well, because you can't always be in the same room to look at a product at the same time. And so we've been really trying to expand different ways of looking at our products in order to make sure that we bring the best product to the end user. And of course, with our customer service guys, and that they've been excellent at anything that does slip through, being able to take care of it and bring it back to the customers in a timely fashion. So it's,
Thanks for the update on how all that works, and it's good to get a peek behind the curtain a little bit.
Thanks.
All right, the one and only Ken Silvestri, saved you best for last, but I've been to your facility too and seen the repair portion of how things work at Broadway, but you want to talk about how COVID's affecting warranties and repairs, and then what you guys do for QC?
For QC, the engineers give the factories a lot of processes and tests on our product. Something that I can't really speak to that well, but I don't need to get involved in it. We have people that are very good at that and know what they're doing. But I will speak to customer service, and I think we have excellent customer service. And I just want to shout out the names of these guys because they're so good, and gals. And it's Joe, Larry, David, Cesar, Melanie, Eric, and Michael. And service is paramount at Broadway. It's big for us, and it's very, very, very important. And not only do our guys fix the locomotives, but they also give a lot of advice on what power pack should I buy? Things that people used to call stores and go to stores for, they're calling our lines. But the one thing one other thing I'd like to talk about is that these locomotives, these aren't like post-war 671 turbine Lionel locomotives from the 50s. They have thousands of lines of code in them. They have so many processes going on within them. They're not easy to fix. They take time. And we just always ask our people our customers for patience. We will fix it. We will fix it right. And one last thing is that the service guys have just put in a whole new process to, when you need service, you can go online. Everything can be done online. You can check progress, when it's going to be shipped, when it was brought in, and it just makes the whole process much easier.
All right. Well, thanks for the insight into that, and glad you guys have a process in place to really handle repairs and quality control.
We work very hard at that.
Yep. Yeah. One final point I would make about quality control, just for everybody watching to consider, is be sure to consider the whole process. Like I said, from development all the way to delivery, it can go completely right until that FedEx, UPS, or post office guy has a bad day and decides to drop kick your package to the door or play soccer with it. I've had products just recently that I reviewed that I could easily tell that the carrier didn't do what they were supposed to. And then I just, had a very patient demeanor with the manufacturer to get it remedied. But, just make sure that you're keeping that in mind, because it is very frustrating for some people to go through that entire process and then have the very last step cause a warranty or a repair issue or something broken. So thanks everybody for insight on that. We're rounding the corner to the last question.
And James, if I could just chime in on that, I just want to say all the panelists and manufacturers that we had on make a great product. I mean, they really do. And as Ken was saying, and I'm glad he mentioned it, these models are so intricate now. The amount of detailing and the handrails, everything is so minute, and the hand labor and the intensive manufacturing that it takes to develop these trains is extraordinary. So I want everyone out there, I know the expectations when you spend the kind of money is very high, and it should be, perfect out of the box. But, please believe all these manufacturers, dealers, distributors, everybody wants you to have a great expectation when you unwrap it from the box. No one's in here in business just to, get one over you. Everyone is trying to make the best possible product out there. And, I really think the amount of returns that we see is very minimal compared to the output that we send out. So it really speaks to the great manufacturers out there. And it's a great thing. So we really appreciate you guys. And I'm not sure, did we let Pico speak? We may have to unmute them.
I talked about quality control, I think. Give me a thumbs up, Jonathan, if you spoke about quality control. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, like I said, we're rounding to the last question finally for you guys. So thanks for your patience. But the last question is simply, I'll start with Ken Silvestri again. Do you miss traveling to train shows, and what do you miss the most? And do you think the industry will ever be the same regarding, or after COVID, I should say?
I miss the train shows. I miss them badly. There's two things I miss about them. And one is when the customer walks up to the table and he looks at the locomotive and his expression or her expression, it's priceless. I miss that. I miss the interaction with the people. trained people are the salt of the earth. And so many of them I've known for 30 years. And I really do miss that. The other thing I miss is that after the show, normally a bunch of the manufacturers get together for dinner. And, you know, the Cartonians, the Athernians, the Walthinians, I have more of them, but we all go to dinner and we talk and we've become friends because we've done this for so long. So do I miss the shows? Badly. Do I think it'll come back? I have no doubt in my mind. The Spanish flu of 2008, of 1918 lasted, I think, 26 months. So we're into it for almost a year, but life became normal after that pandemic, and life will become normal after this one. I have no doubt.
And Ken, I heard you're actually going to pay for all the panelists on the show tonight at the next train show.
Yeah, that's right. It's as long as it's in 2020, you got it.
Very good.
Gotta be careful, Ken. Some of us have put on the COVID 20 pounds or so. But well, thanks. And I remember in Omaha, you had coordinated a dinner with all the manufacturers, and that really stuck with me because you guys are competitors by definition, but you guys are very tight-knit group, and it's great to see the camaraderie that you share with each other. So, so Ron, I'm going to go mix up things a little bit and go to you next. You want to talk about if you miss traveling at train shows and you think the industry will ever be the same?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and I'm glad you put it on the agenda for tonight. And you can tell by Ken's passion, the way he answered the question. I feel the same way. It's a quick little story here. I've got a business partner that many of you know, who happens to also be one of my best friends, business partner, and my father. I got a picture of him here. By the way, he's doing great. He's healthy, happy. He's staying safe. But this is a picture that we took in the airport in Milwaukee at the last Train Fest show. And we're walking through the airport and we walked by a podium and it wasn't manned at the time. And so my father said, "Hey, take a picture real quick." And so I took a picture of him behind this Milwaukee County Sheriff's podium. And this is an example of, you know, some of the fun things that we do at shows, even just walking through the airport. It's a ton of fun to interact with people. The reason I bring up my father is he and I have worked in this business for 30 years. We together, and we both have the same philosophy that, you know, in the model train industry, in the manufacturing of model train products, what's the most important single factor in this business? And the answer is the people. And when you think about that, and you think about the ability to go to a train show where there's 20,000, 25,000, upwards of 25,000 people at an event like Train Fest, we get to interact with them, we get to say hello to them, we get to shake hands with them, we get to hug them, we get to hand out decals and business cards, we get to let them look at the products, we get to hear the feedback, we get to build relationships, have those lunches, dinners. And so, yeah, this is what's really difficult about this time for us here at Intermountain, is because we thrive on that personal interaction with our customers, with our dealers, with other people and friends in the industry like you guys. And that's why we're so grateful, you know, James and Ken, that you guys put this together, because, you know, other than a face-to-face convention, train show interaction, this is the next best thing. So this is really good. Do we miss them? Absolutely. Do we think they're going to come back? Absolutely. I agree with Ken. We're going to get back to being able to shake hands and hug and hand products across the table and interact with our friends in the industry and meet new people. It's going to be a while, and we're going to have to make adjustments in the meantime, but we really look forward to that to that moment where we get to start interacting again. So thanks again for including Intermountain and me in this show. And thanks to all of you other manufacturers. We do have a fellowship and a friendship in this business, and we want to keep it going.
Thanks. Good to hear from you, Ron, and appreciate your insight. Next, we're going to go to Pico. I see that you are unmuted. So would you like to talk about if you missed the train shows at all?
Wow. Well, actually, I don't miss racking up lots of frequent flyer miles. I've turned that over in recent years to Dan, so we'll let him talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
About train shows, I mean, the Pico family, we love being at shows and we love seeing you, the consumers. I personally and us, we miss talking to you guys, seeing pictures of your layouts, hearing what you're doing at your house, hearing what your friends are doing. We kind of feed off that just like you guys when you talk with your own friends. So absolutely, we miss doing that. Train Fest would have been, I believe, this weekend. We miss visiting some of the shops we would have been around, as well as talking to the people we get used to seeing every year, whether it's manufacturers or the consumers that want to talk about what's the next thing, or touch the trains, you know, kick them off the tracks and see that they're durable, or play with it or look at it. That's one of the things that we enjoy, as well as just hearing how they've been during the last year. So absolutely, the Pico family, we love seeing people, and we can't wait for when train shows are happening again so that we can say hi to you guys and talk trains. So, and until then, you know, you can watch videos on the YouTube channel. We have, I think, around 70 videos on YouTube, and we keep trying to put more out as soon as we have time, but we'll just do our best, and we can't wait to see you guys in person again.
But meanwhile, this is a great substitute for train shows. I appreciate both you guys putting this on. So thank you. Yeah.
No problem. Thanks for your guys' time on this Sunday evening. I know it's getting a little late, but we'll go to Andy Edelman from MTH with your thoughts about if you missed the shows and if the industry will ever be the same after COVID.
Well, James, the industry will definitely recover from this. It will definitely be the same. That there is no substitute for being in front of people. Certainly we at MTH have enjoyed it. I took on the bulk of most shows over the last 10 years or so. And there's plenty of stories that I'll take away from them in my time in the industry. Nothing like watching the kids get excited when they're at your booth. That's one of the great things about shows, even when they get so excited that they lose bladder control. I think Ken Silvestri watched that happen in our booth one time. I couldn't believe it, but the kid was excited. So what can you do? You know, sometimes shows leave a little to be desired, like when you walk out of the hotel in Cleveland and see that your 30-foot triple axle trailer and F-350 dually truck are gone because some dude stole it, and you had to call the airport and fly home while the police searched for it. And in Cleveland, let me tell you, they don't really care too much about auto theft. They weren't very enthusiastic about finding our truck. And that was neat because it was right before another show, and we had to scramble for that show. But that's what this hobby's all about, is dealing with these kind of things and going to shows. I don't like the cold weather, don't like Omaha. Nice town, but it was cold last time we were there. But the best part is the people, and seeing them and seeing our competitors. And Howard alluded to the back of the truck, the MTH truck at the York Fairgrounds every year. Missed, and certainly looking forward to them coming back.
That's why I left Omaha, Andy. It was too cold and too much taxes. We'll go to Jim Wiggin of Athern.
Definitely too cold.
Yeah. We'll go to Jim Wiggin of Athern to talk about, you know, if you haven't been to a train show under the Athern hat yet, have you?
No, not under the Athern banner. I have in the past for some other manufacturers, but you know, do I miss traveling to train shows? Absolutely, I do. Some of the best memories I think a lot of us have in our careers is going to a show of some type. So definitely miss traveling to the shows. One of the biggest things that I miss is just the interaction with the customers. And I mean, for me, for Janik, for Matt, our happiest moments, I guess, is when somebody comes up and says, man, I'm so glad you released the, Rock Island GP9s, and that's what I model, and it's so great. And I mean, that makes us happy because, again, we're modelers. We basically look at our customers as just fellow modelers, and we get to go to shows and meet up with those guys and see what they're working on, and we get new ideas for stuff. I mean, one of the hardest parts of my job is listening to customers and saying, hey, are you going to do a fill in the blank? And it's like, man, that's really cool. We got to do that. And, just trying to get all of that information and seeing what we can do to make that possible for our fans. I think that's what I miss the most about the shows is the actual interaction with folks. Because at the end of the day, like I said before, we're modelers too. Whether we're wearing an Athearn shirt and we're working at an Athearn booth, or if we're just, the regular guy going to the train show, we're there for the same reason. We have a passion for this hobby. We love it. We love seeing what our fellow friends are doing in the hobby. And it's probably the thing I miss the most. Will the industry ever be the same? No, I don't think it will, but not in a bad way. I think it's actually going to be better. All of us here tonight, we've adapted. We've adapted to a new way of doing things. And when we do go back to a method of actually going to train shows safely and not with any fear of any type of virus, this that we're doing now will just accompany everything that we do. And it's just going to make the hobby better. And it's going to make the hobby better for those, even after the pandemic, that for whatever reason, they can't make it to the shows, whether regional or health reasons or things of that nature. They're going to be able to benefit from what's going on now. So if anything, I think all of us, as far as manufacturers, have gotten better because of the pandemic, and we've learned to adapt and evolve, and it's made it better for the consumers. So I think in a good way, it's going to change.
Thanks for your input and a very good point about the hobby being better. I think it's very good that it's embracing technology even more and online presence even more. And I think you're right, it'll come out way ahead. George from Soundtracks, I know you're a heavy modeler, so talking about how you guys are modelers and manufacturers.
What would ever give that away?
I don't know.
I will tell you, and James, I know you know this, one of my absolute favorite parts of my job is being able to travel. I love being able to go out and visit with customers, talk with people, and to kind of build on some of the things that the other panelists have said already. Interacting with the customer, the one-on-one, and getting that first customer to come over and ask you the question. This is his first time he's ever come over, and he asked you, he says, why should I buy your product? And the question is always, well, what's important to you? And they answer that question, and you're able to speak to those points, and you're able to really interact with that customer and answer his questions and you see that, I forget which one it was. They said that light when the customer sees something and that excitement, because that's what's important to them. And for me personally, being a modeler, I've gone to trade shows for years beforehand. I mean, I grew up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I remember some of the first times I met some of these guys was when one of the shows came through the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think it was in Fort Worth, one of the World's Greatest Hobby or something. But it was always an exhilarating excitement. And so I always look at that from a one-time customer perspective as, let's make this the best show that we can for these guys. Also getting out, visiting the retailers. I love visiting all the stores. As you know, I almost always never walk out of the store with empty-handed. I always try to buy something at the stores because that's my way of saying thank you for all the support. Plus, I get all kinds of cool stuff to run on my home layout here as well. So I would agree with Jim a little bit. I think the hobby's going to be different. I think it's going to be better. I was talking to one of our retail stores not too long ago, said they've seen so many people coming in when they got reopened that hadn't been in trains before, or somebody who is maybe coming back into model trains. And I know I've mentioned that I'm doing a lot of the support. I talked to a lot of people there as well that are getting back into it. You know, I was talking to a gentleman this week. He said he hadn't been in the hobby for 27 years and he was overwhelmed with all the choices and all the really cool products that all of us make. And, you know, so it's really exciting to see that. And I think it's going to be better. I think it's going to be different. And God, I hope we get back to normal the way it is. I know a lot of it's going to depend on us as citizens to, you know, do what we're supposed to do, and let's, you know, do our research and learn about what's going on. And so we can be moving forward smarter and better in the future. And so from our part, we're doing a lot of our YouTube videos. We're posting every week, posting how-to videos. And for those of you who are new into the hobby, we do have a webinar series that's out there to teach you what is DCC, how to solder, you know, what is CV programming and all of that to get you familiar with it. So be sure to check all that information out. And as always, we're a phone call or an email away, and make sure you support your local retailers and your hobby shops like Trainworld, because guys, without these people around, we want to make sure this hobby thrives. So continue to support them.
Yep, I agree. And, you know, I was just thinking, many of you guys here on the panel, either the only time or the first time I met you was at a train show. So it's, you know, it's good to have that face-to-face interaction and really get to know people. Even with this digital format or Zoom or whatever you want to call it, it's still kind of hard to tell, you know, emotion and you know, if Ken Silvestri's sweating because he's trying to get over there to the food stand or something quickly, and he's like, "Hey, can you sit in for me?" Just different things that you can't really pick up from digital, and I look forward to when it comes back to in person as well. Rich, you're one of the folks I met at the train show for the first time. You got any input on if you're going to miss the travel for a while?
I absolutely missed the train shows. That, in addition to visiting customers, is probably the favorite part of my job. Just the interaction with people, seeing kids' faces when they see some of our products, especially the Thomas the Tank product. It's nothing like it. But in addition to that, we also get a lot of ideas and a lot of feedback from our customers. I remember actually being at one of the recent shows of the past couple of years when we had our first pre-production sample of the one of our locomotives, and the customer basically looked at it and they were kind of disappointed. And I'm like, well, what's the matter? And he said, well, I thought the detail would be a little better. We actually took that locomotive, went back to tooling and updated the tooling of that locomotive to basically make it where our customer wanted to see it. Now, it delayed the project a little bit, but in the end, it was well worth it. So in addition to just getting, you know, seeing customers and their faces and seeing basically the different people, the you know, that are on the panel and in the industry, what we get from them, whether it be feedback from a particular product or even new ideas, you can't get that anywhere else. So, you know, I'm looking forward to going back. I do think that the industry will be back stronger. I can't wait till that first show, you know, when everything everything is settled, you know, the virus is behind us. I can't imagine the amount of people that will be at that first show. It's going to be bonkers. So, you know, I mean, if, you know, people that can bring extra staff to that first show or two, because the amount of people that are going to come through those doors is going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's the truth. I think it's going to be a dam that bursts, and just unparalleled, unseen numbers before in attendance. I agree with you there. So thanks for your insight, Rich. Bobby Allard from Rapido. You wanna
I believe in barriers and walls to keep people away. No, I'm just kidding. We do miss the shows, and this year was difficult because we had a whole grand tour of Canada for the M420 locomotive that we had scheduled out. We had a couple open houses, one in the US, one in Canada, that we were planning to go through, and obviously that got scrubbed too. And just all together, we had a lot of events, and it prohibits us from traveling to Canada to the main office, and just in general, it is disruptive. But the one thing though that we wouldn't have is we wouldn't have what we're having right now. So it's a new twist on the way things are, and it is a little bit different. But what we've learned is that by not doing shows, we could do at least live streams, and we call it the Ask Us Anything. So we do it usually right after the newsletter goes out. So the newsletter goes out about once a month towards the end of the month or middle of the month, right before the deadlines. It's just all different ways of just reaching out to the customer and the base. And like I said, with our videos, we went from being, a couple a year to a couple a month now. And we have a whole person doing just the video, just all the video editing. And we have Jordan with all the social media stuff, and he's great with all that. And just in general, this has created, I hate to say it's created a lot of new opportunities, but it really has created, you make the best out of it. So you got lemons, you make lemonade. And that's what we've done so far. And we've just found new ways to just reach out to the customer, whether it be social media, Instagram, Facebook, any of the platforms, videos, live streams, just everything all together. And that's where we stand now. And I do have to say, Andy, obviously I'm not working for Brand A anymore, but I do miss the truck. Excuse me, I do miss the tailgate at York that was out there. I came around once or twice, and I have to admit that was hard to leave. But I do miss meeting all the people I usually meet at the shows, and everybody here. We usually hang out for a little bit here and there, stop in the booth. And just in general, just traveling to different cities is fun. Now, if you ask me in 2016, when I got sent to almost every show that year, that was not I'll say that was a lot that year. But going back a little bit, yeah, it's been a little bit strange not going out anywhere. But I'm sure we'll make it through it, and we'll zoom off just like we were before. So, and I'm confident in that.
All right. Well, thanks, Bobby, for your insights. Scott from Atlas, you want to talk about if you missed the shows?
Oh, intensely. One of the best things about being in R&D is not necessarily telling people what they want to hear, but listening to what they want to say. You tend to learn more by listening, and without having that dynamic with a customer. I mean, I'm involved in the signal system for Atlas very strongly. I've met dispatchers from Omaha. I've met linemen from, everywhere at these shows, people who have lived and have lived the life and done the work that we're trying to reduce into miniature. There is no way that you can really get that unless you're able to sit there, talk to them, listen to them, learn really what goes on. And then looking at their face when you bring something out saying, that's exactly how we did it. Thank you so much. That gratitude that one gets from a customer is one of the greatest things in the world in this hobby. So yeah, I miss them all. Miss the shows, even setup and teardown, when that can be a pain, but you do miss it because it's where you meet all the people. It's where you get together. It's where, like I say, you and I met it, I think, at Train Fest a couple of years ago. And I think it was during teardown. It's one of those things where, this is a family, and it's a group of people who have a common love of something that when you get together and just start talking about it, you really can't stop. And the personal interaction is really something, I think, both with the manufacturers, all of our friends in the industry, and especially our customers, because, they want to know that we have that passion. We want to know that they have that passion. And it's wonderful to watch things turn into a real live miniature railroad based on an idea that someone had at a show across the country may make something happen on the East Coast that wouldn't have happened before. And it's that cross-fertilization that, what you and Ken are doing with putting this type of thing together. I think it's very important that we can inform, but it's also important that our customers can inform us, because we really rely, at least I do, really rely on hearing what goes on, hearing that feedback, and working with people who have, as I say, lived the life to bring reality into miniature. And so, yeah, I do miss the shows a lot. I think I speak for a lot of us in that respect.
Well, thanks for that. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Hal Miller, you're another one I met first time at a Train Fest, I believe it was. So,
absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
I think throughout history, cataclysmic events have driven evolution, and I think we're at one of those spots right now. Ultimately, we will get back to train shows. Absolutely, we will, and there will be pent-up demand, and the people will burst through the gates, and it will be great. But the other thing that's going to continue on is things like this, and I think, and it's completely anecdotal, I just kind of feel it in my gut, that we have reached some youth that we didn't typically reach with, say, print products or anything like that throughout the last 6 to 8 months. And I think building some bridges like that is just fantastic for the hobby. I think that we will experience a net gain in hobbyists. We'll see a little spike up, and I think it's going to be fantastic. I miss the shows. I certainly miss meeting our customers, telling us what we're doing right. And many of them, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but our customers tend to speak very bluntly. So we do a lot of things wrong also. And it's good to hear that. In fact, it's probably more important for us to hear that than the good we do. The other thing is we get to meet our authors many times that we've never met in person. I enjoy that a lot. But the other thing is getting ideas for products. And, I may get 10 ideas at a show, and 9 of them, they're pretty iffy. It's that 10th one, though, that might produce a product that's going to be the next special publication or a show we do on trains.com or something like that. That's going to go fantastic, and a lot of our customers are really going to like. So yeah, I definitely miss train shows. I miss seeing all of you. But we'll get back to it, and it'll be better than it has been, I think, for some years.
Well, thanks for the input, and I'm still a little upset you shot down my idea of having a magazine all about HO scale wheel sets, but maybe one of the ideas you.
Some of them just don't make it. Yeah, I know.
I'm glad some of the ideas get through the filter, though, and go on to being great publications. And speaking of great publications, we got Tony Cook. You got any insight into train shows? I've seen you at a couple, even in rural Nebraska. So what are your thoughts?
That's true, James. Yeah, I think we've definitely met each other at a handful of train shows from all over the place. I think a lot of what Jim from Athern said, what some of the other guys have said about the hobby will come out of this different. As Hal mentioned, it's kind of a evolutionary thing. And I agree. I think this component, this increase that we've seen in social media interaction, I think we're going to see, there's no reason why it will go away because of its popularity. I mean, like your channel was coming along, things like, the podcasts, like A Modeler's Life that I do and things, all of that has been growing. But I feel like this situation has really brought them to the forefront quite a bit. So again, I think the hobby will be a lot better. I miss the train shows for running into a lot of people that, come up and talk to me, especially for HO Collector, because you run into people that are into old trains and they have questions for you about things, or they found something in the magazine that I had talked about and it had a special, importance to them. So I miss that. I would say the thing I miss the most about train show, those are the hot dogs.
Yep, they are bland and overpriced.
I mean, the hot dogs and the pretzels are the thing that I find myself in the grocery store now buying those big frozen pretzels and hot dogs more than I used to. And I get home and think, why did I buy this stuff? And it's like, oh yeah, because I haven't been to a train show in forever. That, and although I am buying a lot of older stuff, as I like collecting stuff, as you know, I certainly have made up for it on eBay and such. But man, nothing beats getting home, opening the back of the car and just having, bag after bag of old AHM, Lionel, Bachman, Tyco, Walthers, like, oh, I found this, and oh, I had this great deal on that. So yeah, that surprise thing of walking up and down the aisles and finding something you've looked for forever, and there's an element there that is missing and will certainly be welcome when it comes back. Oh, and what is this about a wheel set thing? Do you want me to get with you offline? And do you want to do this as like an annual, or you want a monthly I can see why Hal said no to the monthly wheel set magazine, but maybe an annual, maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say an annual might work for you, Tony.
There you go. Okay, maybe wheel sets yearly. I'll get with you offline, James.
Well, you bring up some good points. I remember getting frustrated going to train shows and just seeing the field of all the different vendors out there and knowing I missed something that I was looking for. It was frustrating, but also very rewarding to find, some of the things that I had to catch up on in the hobby, because coming into 2009, there was all sorts of stuff that I had to catch up and find. And speaking of coming into the hobby early, I was one of the first few people to bring kind of the hobby to the internet in a bigger way through YouTube. And that's how I met Ken Bianco at Train Fest eventually. And now we're buddies and kind of sponsored up together here and working together on this. So just amazing. And the last note I'll kind of make about Ken Bianco is he was running around Train Fest Junior, Ken Bianco Jr. running around Train Fest at 100 miles an hour. And that energy hasn't stopped. And so I appreciate him putting this together. He did 99.9% of that. And he has a great passion for the hobby to get the word out, just in general, get the products out to all of the hobby people that are partaking in the hobby, the customers. So thanks, Ken, for all that. And I'll turn it back over to you kind of for closing comments or anything else you wanted to cover.
Thanks, James. I appreciate that. And that's one thing that's so great about this hobby is the camaraderie between everyone here, and the customers out there, and just the hands-on interaction. Ken mentioned all the manufacturers go out for dinner. We heard stories of you meeting a lot of these people for the first time, and it's all true. I mean, there's no bloodlines between the manufacturers. I hate this one, I hate that one. It's not like that. And that's what makes this train industry so great, that, we could all come together and have Ken buy us dinner. It's a great thing. And when I go to, whether it's York or Amherst, and quite honestly, I think Amherst has the best hot dog. The guys from Massachusetts do it wicked good. But so all these train shows are so great. And James, you covering and recording these all these train shows and being at these events were great coverage too, because a lot of people haven't been to these shows. So I think the more we talk about it and get the exposure out there, it's the best thing for the hobby, because the train shows are awesome. I mean, you see all these great manufacturers, you see the publications, you see layouts, hands-on activities. So there's just so many great things, and it's a great way to bring a family into the hobby. So I'm a big believer in the physical train shows as well as virtual train shows, and we all got to do our part in help getting more people into the hobby. And even though COVID was a setback on a lot of aspects, I truly believe that all these manufacturers, distributors, dealers, James, influencers, everyone is doing a great job getting the word out virtually. And right now, trains are in. People want a hobby. They could stay inside, stay separated, hang out, have their kids, keep them active. So it's a great hobby. So hopefully everybody here who is watching, I thank you so much. Hopefully you could share this video. tell a kid or neighbor or your family member about it, and just show them the great manufacturers, because we had a little bit of everything tonight. G scale, HO, N scale, O scale. I mean, all the different scales were pretty much covered. We had manufacturers from all the top of the line companies. We had two great magazine companies that and more now. They do digital stuff. So it was really nice to see the full spectrum. And James, you do a great job with your YouTube videos. And when you said you started on virtually, you're not kidding. You were the YouTube guy, the I guess the OG now. So the original YouTuber of Train. So we always appreciate that, and all these manufacturers have nothing but praise for you for sharing and spreading that word. And quite honestly, what you've done, I see so many model train influencers now. They want to be a James. They want to be all these guys, and post up videos on Instagram, on YouTube and Facebook, and it's crazy. And I forgot who mentioned, and forgive me, but they mentioned that the hobby has been opening up into a new direction. And I'm sorry for whoever said that. And I don't want to be mistaken for who did say that, but they're totally correct. I mean, the virtual aspect has opened the door to a lot of new segments and clientele, and a new segment that I feel like the train industry was definitely missing for a while. So hopefully everyone out there enjoyed, and I thank you all the participants so much. It really means a lot to me. And we had companies, people that took out their time on a Sunday night. We made sacrifices, and I really appreciate all you guys for being here. And gals, for Stacy. Thank you. Appreciate it. And have a great night, everybody. And we'll see you soon. Shop at trainworld.com. And thank you all for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Ken. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks again. Take care.